through September. The deadline for them to decide is tonight unless that's blocked again. America's listening to Fox News.
Quiet down. Here she comes.
Surprise! Your accountant just emailed to say your quarterly taxes are way higher than you were expecting.
At Progressive, we know small business owners don't usually like surprises because they cost you money. But a good surprise that could save you money? Getting discounts with a commercial auto quote from Progressive.
Also, your favorite employee is leaving. They're going to pursue their dream of being a veterinarian.
Surprise yourself. See if you can save in as little as 7 minutes at ProgressiveCommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Discounts not available in all states or situations.
Since 9/11, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation has been supporting America's greatest heroes and their families. Heroes who protect our communities and our country. Heroes like firefighter James Allen Dickman. While responding to an apartment fire, James perished in the blazing inferno. The cause of the fire was arson. Tunnel to Towers gave the Dickman family the gift of a mortgage-free home. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at T2T.org. Your gift will be a true life changer for families just like the Dickmans. Thank you.
The Morning Xtra, only on Xtra 106.3.
Morning, y'all. It's Monday. It is Monday following the Super Bowl. I know 55% of Americans think it should be a holiday. It will never be, so just let it go. And
if you're banged up, it's your fault.
It's exactly right. You knew.
Especially yesterday.
You knew.
I checked out mid-third quarter.
Oh, I was in bed by halftime.
And I was fine with that. That was the end of that.
We watched Kendrick Lamar, which sounded really good. Very boring performance. There was nothing to it that I could tell. And then went right to bed after that.
I know I'm supposed to have a hot sports opinion.
Oh, let's go.
The halftime show.
Yeah.
Meh, it's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. That's what I'm saying.
It's fine. I knew most of the songs from TikTok.
That's right. And he sounded great. I mean, the audio, the whole presentation, everything sounded terrific. But it was just boring.
And it also wasn't really for me anyway.
No, it was never intended for you.
It's for my daughter.
Yeah, and Joey.
Yeah.
And Joey Virgin River. And Joey,
that's fine.
Do you have a take on it? Do you have a hot sports take this morning?
I thought it was great.
Okay.
There you go. Hot sports opinion from JoJo. Yeah. It was great.
Theo Vaughn tweeted out, "Well, this is boring."
I thought the visuals were cool. I thought it was aesthetically
cool.
pleasing.
Yeah, I'd say it looked cool.
I mean,
maybe. Yeah.
Tug just wanted J-Lo and Shakira up there shaking.
How do we get that back?
Okay, that was a high point.
How do we get that back?
For every red-blooded male American in this country, that was a high point.
Dude, here's the thing. I
forgot about that.
I forgot what grade Jacob was in.
I got to excuse myself from the show.
Seriously, I'll be right back.
Woo!
He hit him off with a woo! With a freaking Ric Flair. Give me a Ric Flair and a couple claps. Goodness. I just remember Jacob, ever how old he was. Let's say it was 8th or 9th grade or whatever it was. He comes up from the basement because that's where all him and his buddies are watching. He was like, "Hey, Daddy."
Yeah.
Shakira's really pretty. I was like, buddy, I know. I mean, it was just so innocent. You know what I mean? He was just like,
just want to let you know she's really pretty.
Yes. Really pretty.
Well, you do have every now and then. Oh, you've dragged me into halftime talk.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
You have iconic moments here and there.
Prince, 20 years ago.
Prince in the Rain in Miami. That was pretty cool.
So incredible.
And then you have like the Black Eyed Peas in Arlington. You go,
whatever.
Hey, listen, I enjoyed Kendrick Lamar more than the Black Eyed Peas when they were playing in Arlington.
Okay. Yeah. It was just whatever.
It's the Green Bay and Pittsburgh Super Bowl, if you'll recall.
Green Bay, Pittsburgh. I don't remember any of that. I barely. I do remember the Red Hot Chili Peppers at one point, but they were a guest. They were part of somebody else's set.
The ensemble.
Yeah, it was like the ensemble that year.
Yeah.
I forget who the lead was on that, but the Chili Peppers showed up, and I was like, well, that's kind of cool. I dig the Chili Peppers.
And then
that's why they'll never come back.
In Atlanta, considering that we're like a hub for the Dirty South, and they gave us Adam Levine. Again, very talented.
Yeah.
Talented dude.
My wife loves some Adam Levine.
Because he performs with his shirt off.
Yep.
That's what he does.
You know, it's just funny because she loves him. Loves Maroon 5. Just thinks Adam Levine is, the cat's meow. She did say, though, she was like, I don't think I realized he had so many tattoos.
How can you not?
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's like, when does he have a shirt on?
I was lost in his eyes. I wasn't even looking there.
So was she, Joey.
Kendrick was up there. It wasn't as good as Usher's last year on his little roller skates.
Yeah, I didn't even remember that. I remember it was him that did it.
He was in that blue jumpsuit.
Yeah, that's right. Blue jumpsuit.
I'll take Usher.
Yeah, Usher's good.
The man can dance.
There's a little bit more going on there.
From Chattanooga, Tennessee, Usher. He claims Atlanta, but he's from Chattanooga.
It was fine again. Just, the game was terrible.
Samuel L. Jackson last night, also born in Chattanooga. How about that? There's our Chattanooga connection this morning. Yeah, it was fine. The game was boring.
The game was terrible.
Yeah, it was so bad. I mean,
here's my take on the game. Kansas City couldn't block Philadelphia. There ends the game. In fact, my wife, as we're watching it, as it's getting into halftime, I said, this thing's over with. She's like, well, Kansas City gets the ball to start the second half. I go, it doesn't matter. They can't block them.
They can't block them. And
That's
it was so
Couldn't
obvious.
block them. That's it.
Dude, that
was the
Philly
game. Can't block
defense
them.
was incredible. And for a half, it was fun to watch Mahomes run around and get sacked a bunch. I mean, it was fun to watch that. I must say I cheered a few times. I was like, let's go, But after that, I was like, okay, well, it's time to go to bed. I got to be up early.
And again, I despise all things Philadelphia.
Which I understand.
As a true son of Atlanta at this point, I've been converted. We don't root for anything good for Philadelphia.
But when it's a bunch of Georgia players,
you can't root for anything good. All right. Do you root for cancer?
Well, no,
because it has a Georgia jersey on it.
Well, no, but
okay,
I've never seen cancer wear Georgia.
It certainly could.
Good.
And under my hypothetical, yes, sir.
You can't argue with my hypothetical.
If Al Qaeda attacked you wearing Georgia jerseys, would you be like, oh well, I gotta consider this a little differently?
No, I
They're
wouldn't.
wearing red and black.
No, I wouldn't.
When Nolan Smith decides that he is all about Al Qaeda, are you not going to be a little bit like maybe I should kind of put this guy on the back burner here?
Los, yes, you're exactly right.
All right, well that's Philadelphia.
100%. It's hard to
argue. It's a city of dirty mutant people. They're all really hairy and they're short.
Yeah.
And then you just deal with it.
Yeah. Did they burn the city down last night? Do we know?
No. You know what else too? Every single time, like they always run out Bradley Cooper because he's like the giant Eagles fan. Okay, he's the only one that's a non-mutant. And they roll him out for everything. They're like, here's Bradley Cooper. Here's Silver Linings Playbook. Here's the way we all look. No, you don't. No, you don't.
What about Rob McElhaney?
No. Whoa, okay. Now it goes back more to my small, hairy, short. Except Rob McElhaney is a talented actor who's pretty funny. Yeah, he's jacked. Yeah, that's fine. But he's also 5'3". The rest of them are like 5'3" and like 250 pounds and have hairy backs.
And Kendrick Lamar's only like 5'5", isn't he?
He's tiny.
He's tiny. He's talking about small guys. Holy cow. Yeah, he is. He's a little bitty fella. David is in Kennesaw. David wants to talk about the Super Bowl and commercials. David, what is on your mind?
Well, aside from the game being about as boring as listening to Joe Biden, this is the first time in a long time that the commercials were actually pretty good this time.
They had a different theme. They seemed more traditional American values with their theme, except for the one that made me laugh out loud the most, and that's when the old woman, and I don't remember who it's for, when the old woman did the flash, she busted open her shirt.
She flashed when she won bingo?
Yes. Dude, that one made me
Here's
laugh.
my tease. I was like, whoa.
That was so good.
I enjoyed that one, and I told you what was coming back when it comes to if you were gonna save Bud Light.
Nailed it.
Women comedy.
Freaking well, to say what you really said.
And tease, all right? Those all have to be involved.
And beer.
And sure enough,
there they were.
The whole, hey, we're having a cul-de-sac party with Shane Gillis and Post Malone and Peyton Manning. That one was fun.
See,
and by the way, it was at a terrible part in the game, too. It's like third quarter, game's over with, and that's where they launched the big one. Like, here's our home run. A lot of people already checked out.
That's right. Oh, did you see the U.S. Secret Service ad? It was super patriotic, voiced by Trace Adkins. I didn't know it until I had no idea. I looked it up this morning after I saw it late last night. I was like, that sounded like Trace Adkins. And then, you're at a party, so you get distracted or whatever. And sure enough, Trace Adkins, who sang Honky Tonk Badonka Donk. He did the voice. Oh, actually, if you want to hear a really pretty song he did, it's called Arlington. It's all about serving your country, giving your life, and being buried at Arlington.
I like honky tonk but donka donk better.
Okay, well, that's understandable. Most people do.
Because I'm just a common, pliable, tractable country fan.
Absolutely. Honky tonk but donk. Come on, who doesn't love that song? Yeah, so
if you can't shake it for me, girl, I'm just not interested.
Well, that'd be Luke Bryan. That's a different
right.
song, but same concept, shaking your tail feather things. Yeah.
By the way, the also the Border Patrol ad, I was like, oh, okay.
Yes, sir.
It's like we're spending some money on some stuff that matters now. Here we go.
Let's go. Dude, and then when Trump gets the pop, they show him and everybody loses their mind.
The amount of lefties that were on Twitter, they're like, look at how hard he got booed. I'm like, what? What are you watching?
It was Taylor Swift that got booed.
Yes, but what were you watching to think that man was going to, by the way, when he went, because my wife was like, didn't he go to like a Super Bowl, the last time? And I was like, no, remember he went to the Georgia-Alabama national championship game, and they exploded because it's college football. If you think he's going to put himself 3 weeks now, start of week 4, into a presidency where he's going to go to a Super Bowl in a city that might not care for him, there's a reason why you have record approval numbers for him. Exactly. Everywhere is cheering for that dude. Exactly. And I know it sucks for the left, and they're sitting there wringing their hands going, oh my God, I can't believe it. MSNBC told me nobody likes him. Record approval numbers. Everywhere he goes, he's going to be celebrated, and he's going to have people that are going to clap their butts off for him.
And did you see Chris Jones, the defensive tackle for the Chiefs, make a beeline for President Trump just to shake his hand on the side?
Tyreek Hill. Now, he was not in the game. He's a former Chief, plays for the Miami Dolphins as a wide receiver. He made the point earlier during the week, I think on Friday afternoon, when he was asked about it. He was, part of, NFL honors and hanging around. And he was like, I want to play in front of Donald Trump at some point. It'd be a great honor because, and as he pointed out, I've been a big fan for a long time.
Which is the key word, right? Or
big
the key part of the phrase. Big fan, long time.
Cheetah Hill was like, I want to have that dude at one of my games.
That's right. That was so cool. And to your point about the CBS polling, and they hated putting this poll out. I'm surprised they did. I'm surprised they were like, nah, let's just sit on this one a little while.
These numbers are not good.
Not for us, anyway.
Let's let the country know.
The one that stood out to me the most, the number that was the most jaw-dropping for me, was Donald Trump is delivering on the promises he has made. 70% approval. 70.
We talk about 80-20 issues, and damn you, Scott Jennings.
Taking
that from me.
No good.
I know you stole that from me. I spent all day Thursday, Friday talking about 80-20 issues, and Scott Jennings is on CNN on Monday or Friday night being like, there are 80-20 issues. Stolen, damn it. Stolen from me.
Low down.
I'm letting it go because he's part of the fight.
You have to.
But we talk about how if you can get him to 70-30, you're doing pretty good.
Yeah.
He's got 70% of the people saying that he is following through on what he promised on the campaign trail. It's unreal.
Overall approval rating at 53%, which is higher than at any point in his first term. These numbers are unreal. I would have never guessed. I don't know why. Because I feel like the mainstream media, who's lost all credibility, nobody listens to them, and it's very apparent. They don't have the ability to just pound him in the ground anymore, right? They can say what they want. And they will say what they want, but nobody's listening.
It's on the backdrop of what's happened the previous 4 years. Joe Biden, and I was listening to Lindy Lee. She was a guest on the Sean Ryan podcast over the weekend. And to listen to her talk about how Joe Biden was a figurehead and that there were 4 or 5 senior people that were running the entire show and that Joe was just there. And that she recognized from 2022 moving forward, he can't function as a person. Now we're back to we have leadership and you have accountability and you have somebody who, when they make the call, it's on them. That, I think, was missed for 4 years.
Yeah, it was. Oh, my God. The fact that they covered it up and they would tell you, you are crazy. Joe Biden's running circles around people. How faulty, how fake, how just absolutely misleading. Just the fact that they were willing to lie to your face, and then challenge you when you questioned it. That's a bold strategy to go after and go with. And yet they did it for 4 years.
And keep in mind, Lindy Lee, this is a woman who was a fundraiser for the Democrat Party who has since basically said, the party left me. Like, I figured it out. It completely left me. One of the things she brought up, and when she said she knew, when I was listening to the podcast over the weekend, was when Joe Biden, who'd always remembered her father's name, always was able to say, hey, how's your father doing, and call him by name. One of the things he said to her is like, well, tell your husband hello. She's like, I'm not married. I've never been married. It's like, what are you talking about? That was when she knows the difference between 2019 Joe, 2018 Joe, 2022 Joe isn't there. And as she put it, the 10 to 4 thing, which if you listen to this show, we brought up 10 to 4. That is when he's operational. She brought it up, too, that they don't let him go and function after 4 o'clock because it's going to be very bad for him. That debate, that was the end of that.
It's unreal.
So, yeah, everyone's just happy to have a president again.
That's exactly right. Goodness. And a president that's quite popular. That's a, something we've not had in forever. Just a president that people actually like and support and feel like he's doing the right things. Dude, that's almost feels like a breath of fresh air.
And the pop culture is into him as well.
Totally. It's crazy to think Republicans own pop culture. Never in my lifetime. Morning Extra and Extra 106.3. We've got a new show that aired this weekend. You may have heard it. The North Georgia Retirement Game Plan. And the host of that show, guy that I want to introduce you to, extremely nice fella, guy that's so well versed in making sure that you know what to do with your money so you can retire and stay retired. We're going to give him an introduction to our audience here on the Morning Extra next on Extra 106.3.
When it comes to federal government jobs, people actually realize that it is going to take merit to get good jobs instead of specific skin color or sexual orientation.
Catch Neil's commentary every day on Extra 106.3 and the Extra app.
Maybe you should ask the Doge people where you should buy a new heating and air conditioning system. The reason is because they're going to give you, the way to get it done the cheapest, the way to get it done the most efficiently. Now, I don't need Doge to tell me that. Maybe you would, but I can tell you that Central Heating and Air Conditioning, that's the place you should go. They're doing the 28th annual Winter White Sale. Over 78 years. One of the few second-generation locally owned HVAC companies in Atlanta. 78 years. They've been keeping your house safe, comfortable, and efficient. You see what I did there with the Doge? Talking about efficiency, they can help you at Central Heating and Air Conditioning. Now's the time to make your home even healthier with Carrier systems that provide fresh, allergen-free air with proper ventilation. And you can take advantage of $2,000 in rebates on Carrier equipment, industry leaders in quality and performance. Do not wait. Central Heating and Air Conditioning's Winter White Sale ends at the end of the month. So if you want to jump on that, centralheat.com or call them 770-GET-HEAT. Again, the number 770-GET-HEAT.
Join A Second Chance Bail Bond CEO Daniel Madelon and host Tug Cowart for the weekly radio show Back Your Blue. They will highlight special initiatives, criminal justice programs, and community events aimed at keeping our communities safer. Tune in Saturdays at 10 a.m. to learn some good news about and from the law enforcement and justice communities. This week's guests are Brian Whidbey and Christy Canner of the GBI Cold Case Division. Tune in on Saturdays or catch up on all past episodes wherever you get your podcasts or at thepodcastpark.com.
No one plans on going to jail, but when it happens, it's important that you know who to call. Call A Second Chance Bail Bonds, where we believe everyone deserves a second chance. Whether your loved one's been arrested in Cherokee, Clayton, or any of the other metro Atlanta counties in between, A Second Chance Bail Bonds works fast to help expedite release within hours. A Second Chance. It's better to know us and not need us than need us and not know us. Call A Second Chance 24/7 at 404-BAIL-OUT or online at atlbail.com.
Find your perfect Ford today at Jim Ellis Ford, Sandy Springs. Home to one of Atlanta's largest selections of new and used vehicles. They're just 4 miles north of 285 on Roswell Road.
Stop by today to explore their incredible inventory of cars, trucks, and SUVs, each thoroughly vetted to meet the highest standards.
Looking for power and performance? Drive home a legendary Mustang or conquer the great outdoors in the rugged Bronco.
Need family-friendly space? The Explorer and Expedition have you covered. Or experience the capability and strength of America's best-selling truck, the F-150.
And when it's time to finance, their straightforward, hassle-free process ensures your experience is stress-free.
With access to numerous lenders and expert guidance, they'll help you find the best rates and terms to fit your budget.
Which Ford will you drive home next? Find out at Jim Ellis Ford, Sandy Springs, or visit them online at jimellisford.com.
Your Ford dreams are waiting. Make them a reality today at Atlanta's favorite Ford dealer, Jim Ellis Ford, Sandy Springs.
The stories that matter to you. These are your Georgia headlines.
Good morning. These are your headlines for Monday, February 10th, 2025. DOGE, the federal budget slashing initiative led by billionaire Elon Musk, will hold its first legislative hearing this week with a panel that's going to be represented by U.S. Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene of Georgia, set to probe improper payments and fraud. Greene told Politically Georgia that her subcommittee of the Department of Government Efficiency will not target Social Security or Medicare benefits. This is going down on Wednesday. Funeral arrangements have been announced for a Roswell police officer killed in the line of duty last Friday. A public visitation for 24-year-old officer Jeremy Labonte will be held on Tuesday, February 11th from 3 to 6 at the Roswell United Methodist Church. Labonte was killed when he responded to a suspicious persons call on February 7, 2025. 23-year-old Edward Espinoza remains in prison. The Philadelphia Eagles are world champions after beating the Kansas City Chiefs in Super Bowl 59, 40-22. Your MVP is Jalen Hurts, quarterback of the Philadelphia Eagles. For your headlines, I'm Carlos Medina.
Morning Extra, Tug and Los on Extra 106.3. We have a great guy in the studio this morning that I want to introduce you to. You've been hearing his show, North Georgia's Retirement Game Plan. Evan Ward is joining us on the show. How are you, man? What's been going on?
Tug, I'm doing great, man. Life is good.
I'm telling you, it's been a day or two since I've seen you, so I'm glad that you're here, and I want to introduce people to you because you do something that is near and dear to my heart. You put people in a position to be able to retire and not have to worry about going back to work, not have to worry about if Social Security is going to be there for them, because most likely it won't. We talk about it, Los, we talk about it all the time, right?
I mean, you just assume at our age that it won't be there and you need to plan on your own.
And that's the thing. That's what you do. You put people in a position to retire and stay retired.
It's a passion of mine to work with folks and help them achieve something that, man, when they come to my office, the most common question I get is, God, how do I even know if I'm in a good enough spot to even consider this? And so that's my goal, and that's what we love to do, be able to share with folks, man, you know what? You've worked hard, you saved, you've done all the right things, made all the right sacrifices, and you're there.
Yeah.
Isn't that the general nature that we're so busy with our daily lives, with our work schedule, with our kids, our family, that while we think we're doing the right things, oftentimes it just doesn't hurt to have a professional say, hey, you might want to tweak this, or you are doing the right stuff. And just to give you that peace of mind at times.
Yeah, Los, I mean, that's exactly right. And not only that, it's an intimidating topic.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? So when you've got a million things to do and one of them is like, man, it's nagging at me. I feel like I need to do something, but I just don't. If I just ignore it, maybe it'll go away. And that's the dilemma. That's the problem, is a lot of folks just find themselves where they just did that for too long.
It's almost like being paralyzed with fear, right? You know something, you got to do something. Maybe it's like, can we compare it to going to the doctor? Like, you got something, that, your knee hurts, or you got because Los's elbow's been bothering him, right?
I've got tendonitis in the elbow; it's killing me.
So you need to go to the doctor, and you've mentioned it to your significant other, your wife, husband, whatever. It just hurts. Well, go to the doctor. Yeah, I will. I'll get there, and then you keep putting it off and putting it off and putting it off, and then finally it catches up with you. And it's the same way when it comes to your retirement, when it comes to money. You can't sit around. You can't just expect that it's going to be okay.
Yeah, well, first off, I hope my wife's not listening, because that hits a little close to home. With my knee's hurting.
Don't want to put you in a bad place.
Yeah, I haven't gone to the doctor yet. But yeah, it's the same thing, man. But it really is, I can push through my knee pain, right? Los can push through his elbow pain and do his job. When you get to game day, and every single person listening, their game day when we're talking about financial planning, when we're talking about retirement, is that day where you say, hey, you know what? I'm ready to start dialing it back, or I'm ready to, full stop, just start enjoying life. And you get to that point, that isn't I can just push through, I can just power through kind of deal. You really need to have a plan in place that you can be completely stress-free in retirement and know that I don't have to worry about this anymore.
And if you want to hear the things that Evan's talking about, Saturdays here on Extra 106.3 at 3, you can listen to North Georgia's retirement game plan and get that information. So, he's going to go over all the things that you and I probably talk about occasionally, IRAs and 401ks, and do I have insurance? Do I have enough insurance? What insurance do I need? There's all kinds of questions that you have and things that you need to know that maybe you don't, that Evan can fill you in on as you're listening to the show.
And that's a question I have for you, Evan. Is there a basic aspect that when people get you on the phone or when they get into your office that a lot of them are missing? Because I remember when I went through this process 15, 20 years ago, and I was told, what do you mean you don't have life insurance? Like, that was one of the very first, as a 20-year-old, 26-year-old, with a wife and kids on the way, I was like, oh, do I need to do that? That was basic.
Yeah, it's funny to hear you say that, because there's probably, I almost feel like a broken record sometimes when people come in my office and the most common questions that they have are almost all the same. Like, hey, how do I even know if I have enough? How do I go from getting a paycheck every 2 weeks or every month to now what? And then my answer quite frequently is almost always the same, in that, hey, your biggest problem is you don't have an income plan. You have a hope. You hope that you've saved enough, invested enough, and cross my fingers, maybe my money will outlive me. But they don't have a plan. A hope is not a plan. And then the other is, you look at it and they all are invested exactly the same way. I don't know how many times people have come in my office, and I issue this challenge on the radio show, but I'll do it here as well. Is anybody listening? I would love for you to prove me wrong. But I know that when we come in and we do a Morning Xtra report on your portfolio, you're going to own a bunch of different sectors of stocks. And there's going to be communications and tech stocks and automotive. And then when we look at it, your tech stocks are Microsoft and Apple, and your non-tech stocks are Amazon and Tesla.
That's right.
And Facebook and Google. And technically, that's a balanced portfolio. Fully diversified. Problem is, Google, while technically not a tech stock, goes up and down at the same time as all the others. And so you're diversified in name, but not in reality, and that can be very painful. The other common thing is what people do for safe money, kind of building their own pension. And most folks, one, haven't even heard of that, but two, what they're using for quote-unquote safe money is bonds, which in a rising interest rate environment is not safe. It never was safe, but it's not really even safer. It's just a different kind of risk. And that is a common thing that I see.
Talking to Evan Ward, he hosts North Georgia's Retirement Game Plan, Saturdays at 3 here on Extra 106.3. How many people walk into your office and you say, are you diversified? Do you have all the stuff that you just went through? And they look at you like you have four heads. They're like, I don't know. I just know it comes out of my check. I just know that I'm
my company has a match
exactly
over
right,
here,
and I'm supposed to.
I don't know what I'm invested in.
Exactly. You probably know more by guessing at what they're doing than they know by actually doing it.
Yeah, you're spot on. And it's just, I use this analogy often, is I'm not a car guy. I got a lot of buddies that, man, they know cars and they're really into engines, and I go to the mechanic and he's like, yeah, you need this, and this, and I'm like,
it's so funny. We were talking about, Los and I were talking about this on the show last Friday. We can't fix the sink. Both of us have dripping sinks in our house now.
Every guy
we don't know how to fix.
Every guy has a blind spot where I can talk about, internet technology. I can talk about what's going on in world markets. And if I look at a sink that is leaking, I go, me don't know what to do.
That's right.
And we all have that blind spot. And a lot of people might have it with retirement.
Yeah, 100%. And sorry,
just say that you're not a car guy, so that's your blind spot.
100%. And so
me look wheels. It's like, okay, yeah.
Go fast, car, go fast.
And it's bad, as you're telling your wife, you're like, oh yeah, we definitely need to fix this. What the mechanics say, but so here's my thing with mechanics is okay. I don't need you to explain to me exactly how you're going to fix the car. I need to overall know what the problem is and how you're going to fix it and what it's going to cost me so that I know how to get it done. I don't actually want to know all the inner workings. And so we have a number of folks that they come in and they're like, hey, look, this is intimidating, it's challenging, and frankly, my eyes glaze over when you start talking about any of this. And so, if I have any skill, whether it's in coaching with, the youth programs and some of the Sunday school things that I do, or in my professional life, it's taking really complex, challenging things and making them simple to understand, at least at a strategic level. Now, tactically, how are you actually going to execute? That can get a little complicated, but it's key to just know overall, okay, where am I at? Where am I trying to go? And am I on the best road to get where I want to go in the most efficient way possible? And as long as we can connect those dots for people, then they can feel a lot more confident in what they're doing.
I don't know about you, but I get embarrassed a little bit when my wife's like, hey, do you know how to fix this? And I'm like, no. And there's just a little bit of you that you feel like you've let yourself down, you let your family down. I can only imagine when it comes to finances, because you're talking about it in the correct way. It is so complicated. It is so hard to know everything you need to know, and it's not what you do for a living. Like, I know how to run a radio show because I've done it for a really long time. People that work mechanics, like you're saying, they've done that for a really long time. But it's like the sink for most people, as far as me and Los having the example, people don't work daily on their money. And that's why it's important to work with somebody like you.
Yeah, 100%. And you guys are pushing a bunch of buttons. I have no idea what they do. And so hopefully, I'm coming through clear. But the same thing with the sink. The difference, though, is y'all have a dripping sink that, your wife gets onto you about it, or, you're like, yeah.
Tell me all about it. That's all I need to. I keep being reminded all the time.
But there's no real long-term harm there other than, it's a little...
The water bill's going up. You'll probably get that little brown stain in the bottom of the sink. Yeah.
Exactly. But at the end of the day, that's not gonna be make or break for you. But with retirement, it really is, because so many folks come in and say, hey, look, if things keep going well, if everything keeps going the way it's going, then you'll be great. But the one thing I can promise you that's going to happen in your retirement is something you don't expect. Life happens. And we build every plan with the hope that everything goes exactly the way we want it. But knowing the reality is life's going to throw you multiple curveballs. And you got to be prepared and flexible enough to be able to adjust on the fly.
What I've always liked to talk about is that your finite resource is your ability to work. And that's what you have to create wealth and comfort for yourself. And so if you're not thinking about that resource as being finite, that there might come a time where you just can't do that work. You might have something that comes up. Then you got to build that comfort and that protection for yourself now.
Oh, exactly right. We had, I'll often ask a question when we're doing educational events of, okay, well, if you ran out of money or you started to run out of money in retirement, what would you do? And the most common answer, but the wrong answer, is, well, I guess I'd just go back to work. Well, first off, one of the biggest companies I worked with was Procter & Gamble. They have tens of thousands of employees. I asked their HR guy one time, how many 65-year-olds have you guys hired? And the answer is almost zero. But also, God doesn't promise me tomorrow. So the idea that I'm going to physically and mentally be able to do to 10, 15, 20 years from now, or Lord knows when I'm 65, 75, 85, go back to work, that isn't promised. That's a hope. That's not a plan. And so, again, go back to, okay, that might be your answer, but one, probably, it's not something we can count on. And two, isn't the whole point so that you don't have to worry about that ever again? And so we build plans to say, hey, look, you'll never have to worry about, well, gosh, do I go back to work? Do I be a Walmart greeter? No. Let's get you on a trajectory where we don't ever have to stress about that again.
It's a great place to be. And I think there's probably so few people that are there. And I know folks that work with you, they are there. They are in that position. And if you want to be in that position too, it's easy to reach out to Evan. Listen to the show, definitely. North Georgia's Retirement Game Plan, Saturdays here on Xtra 106.3 at 3. But how do folks get a hold of you?
Yeah, so most common way is, we've got our contact information on the website. Direct line is 678-880-9454. But you can also check out the website. We've had a number of folks probably from the radio get on there and say, hey, one just yesterday, hey, we're 60. I'm a teacher.
We're in approach. We're on final approach.
We're there, yeah. And so we just need to know, can we even retire? And our first meeting, the most my favorite thing is to meet with a new person and say, hey, no, you're in good shape. We're going to be able to make this work. And so you can reach out to us on the website and we'll get you on the calendar.
atlasretirement.net, atlasretirement.net. Before we close up shop, before we get you out of here on this early morning, let's talk about your family, because I know that's so important to you and it's important to me. It's important to Los. I think it's important to most people, especially folks that are pretty conservative, traditional by nature. Their family is the most important, but probably the only thing that trumps that is their faith, and that certainly is the case for me too. No, you're a faithful man as well, but that's the thing that I want people to know about you the most. Because I guess anybody could come on the radio and say, "Hey, I'm the best financial planner in the world. I'm the best person for you." I don't know that until I know who you are and I know where your heart is. And I think that is the most important thing that I want people to know about you, is how much that you care about your family, how much you care about your faith. And that bleeds down, that trickles down into the people that you work with, because you care about them too.
Well, I appreciate you saying that, man. I mean, obviously, we've known each other in a past life, prior work experience. And I know that about you, and that's a big passion for me. I mean, that's why I got into coaching. I'd love to say it was some big strategy that I thought out, but really I just found that I gravitated towards mission work and coaching with young kids, and now not so young, now that they're all in high school.
I know. We're in that same phase of life.
Yeah.
Los is starting.
I got a high school freshman next year.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah.
My youngest will be first sixth grader in middle school.
And it goes by lickety-split, doesn't it?
Well, yeah. So my oldest, it's his senior year. We finished football season. That was... that was tough, but that wasn't bad. But
a couple tears.
Probably,
eyes got a little wet.
Wife got teared up.
Okay, you can pretend you did. You can say, "Hey, you can be Mr. Tough Guy all you want. That's fine. I'm not going to call you on it."
On the field, I was composed.
I remember the last day for me too, man.
But now he's entering lacrosse season, which is like his big main sport, and it's the last hurrah, because he got offered to do some stuff in college and decided, I just kind of want to.
I just want to go.
I just want to be a college student, exactly. Yeah. And so, and then we got a junior and a sophomore, and then, believe it or not, a first grader. So
talk about
the reset button on that one.
Yeah,
live throwing you a curveball.
But it's funny, because the coolest thing, and I don't know, your audience wants to hear this, but my coaching the older ones, now they're off, kind of doing their own thing. And now I'm coaching first graders again. So first off, went from teaching complex quarters, cover four, complex defenses to this is a football.
Yeah,
this is what. But the coolest part of that experience is now my oldest son and daughter, the senior and the junior, are now coaching with me on the first grade team. And I tell you, 6-7-year-olds, they will listen to adults. Like, they like having adults engage with them and feed into them. But man, you remember when you were little, what a high schooler would do?
Like kings of the world.
Exactly. And so these kids would come
just respond.
Oh, and they will listen to those guys in a way they just can't connect with me. So it's really awesome seeing those guys kind of feed back into the little guys. So that's fun.
There you go. Evan Ward, check out his show, North Georgia's Retirement Game Plan, Saturdays at 3 here on Xtra 106.3. Go check out his website. Learn more about him. Look, we're not asking you to call and say, "Yep, I'm going to work with you." Find out about him. Learn about him. The things that he cares about, the things that he finds important. atlasretirement.net, atlasretirement.net. Phone number 678-880-9454. 678-880-9454. Reach out. Ask the questions. Because I would imagine, as we close here, people just want to call you and ask you a couple questions. You're open to that.
Oh, of course. I mean, that's that's what we're there for. People ask, do you have minimums or you have this requirement? And I've always hesitated to go down that road because the people who need the most questions answered are the ones that, are in that spot. So that's why we've been passionate about, kind of building in our community and in the North Georgia area.
Thank you so much for being a part of the Extra family, Evan. We appreciate you, man.
Thanks, sir.
Continued success. God bless you. This is Extra 106.3, the Morning Extra. Tug and Los on Extra 106.3. When we come back, what does being in a post-constitutional era actually mean? We'll break that down because you probably saw that bubble up over the weekend. Next on the Morning Extra.
The latest sports news, powered by 680 The Fan, and driven to extra listeners by RBM of Atlanta in Sandy Springs, Atlanta's Mercedes-Benz connection since 1964.
The Philadelphia Eagles dominated the Kansas City Chiefs last night 40-22 to be crowned Super Bowl 59 champions. The Eagles scored first and did not look back, scoring 34 unanswered points and holding the Chiefs to 0 points in the first half. Patrick Mahomes was rattled by the Philly D, losing a fumble and throwing 2 picks with 1 return for a touchdown. Eagles QB Jalen Hurts was named Super Bowl MVP, throwing 17 for 22 with 221 yards and 2 touchdowns. Hurts ran for 72 yards and a touchdown as well. This is the second Super Bowl victory in Philly's history, with their first coming in Super Bowl 52. For Extra 106.3 Sports, I'm Joe Virgin.
For half a century, glyphosate has affordably and effectively protected Georgia farmers' crops from invasive weeds. Without it, the impact would be felt beyond the fields, hitting Americans where it hurts, our wallets. That's why the Modern Ag Alliance advocates for farmers' continued access to essential crop protection tools, so food prices don't rise even more. Get the facts at controlweedsnotfarming.com. Paid for by the Modern Ag Alliance in support of Georgia farmers.
Hey, it's a Kimmer. Okay, you're driving along. Suddenly you hear that horrible sound of metal and crunching. It's an accident. Even if it's a little minor fender bender, man, that could be a nightmare. First, obviously, take care of yourself. But before you make a deal with an insurance company or anybody else, call David Van Sant with Van Sant Law. You know why? Because he used to work for the insurance company, so he knows how to get the right settlement and right away. Van Sant Law. Don't forget, if you don't get paid, they don't get paid. Protecting your interests. Insurance is great, but it's complicated. 855-GA-INJURY or vansantlaw.com.
It's cold in Atlanta right now, but spring is on the horizon. Want to see me and my friends over at 680 The Fan take a plunge? Well, your donation will decide. It's the 2025 Polar Plunge to support Special Olympics Georgia. From now until February 16th, just go to SpecialOlympicsGA.org and make a donation on behalf of our friends at 680 The Fan. If we raise $2,500 or more, I'm taking the plunge at Acworth Beach on February 22nd. And all donations go to support Special Olympics Georgia. Donate now at SpecialOlympicsGA.org. and click on the Polar Plunge link.
Attention Warriors, are you a veteran ready to navigate to success after service? Tune in to the Warrior Alliance Network. Join us as we spotlight inspiring stories, provide essential resources, and connect you with a community dedicated to empowering veterans. From career advice to health and wellness tips, the Warrior Alliance Network is your go-to hub for post-service success. Tune in Saturday mornings at 11 a.m. on Extra 106.3. Join us on the mission, the Warrior Alliance Network, where warriors thrive together. Visit us at the warrioralliance.org for more information.
Hey, Georgia neighbors, it's time to expect more from your Medicare Advantage. Discover Sonder Health's custom plans tailored just for Georgians. Saunders offers unique benefits, including special plans for those living with chronic conditions. Some plans even come with grocery or gas benefits to support your overall well-being. Sonder Health makes it easy to get the coverage you need. See for yourself what today's Medicare Advantage can do for you. Visit SonderHealthPlans.com, a healthier state of life. Sonder Health Plans has an HMO and PPO with Medicare contracts. Enrollment in Sonder Health Plans depends on contract renewal.
Paid for by Hims & Hers Health. Hims & Hers Weight Loss is not available everywhere. Compounded products are not FDA approved or verified for safety, effectiveness, or quality. Prescription required. Restrictions at forhers.com apply. Wegovy and Ozempic are not compounded.
With Hers, you can access doctor-trusted weight loss plans, like compounded GLP-1 weekly injections with the same active ingredient as Ozempic and Wegovy. Based on pricing through Hers, save up to 91% per month with compounded semaglutide, the same active ingredient as the name brand drug. Get started at forhers.com/start today. That's forhers.com/start.
The Morning Extra from 6 to 10. Glenn Beck until noon. Clay and Buck from noon to 3. And the Kimmer Show on your ride home from 3 to 6. Plus Jesse Kelly from 6 to 9. And Jimmy Vela from 9 to midnight. The voices you need all day with a conservative voice of Atlanta. Extra 106.3 FM and the Extra app.
Post-constitutional era. I saw that bubbling up all weekend on news programs, on social media, and I had to dig in. I was like, what does that mean? Like, where did that come from? Turns out it was a conversation that was had on Bill Maher's show with Byron Donalds.
How did an entire party manage to memory hole 4 years?
They did a good job, though.
How did they take 4 years of what they lived through and said, I don't remember any of that.
Or even participated. You said lived through, but participated in, too.
I don't recall ever thinking, maybe we should lock up our neighbors for not taking a vaccine.
Or kick them out of the military.
A post-Constitution era. So, yes, over on Bill Maher on Friday, Byron Donalds, the Florida congressman, was on, and he was asked about, because so much of this goes back to, look at what Donald Trump is doing. Well, it's not so much doing anything so much as people are able to serve for the president, and look what they are arranging in order to get rid of waste, fraud, and abuse. Look at all the things that they're pointing out about how your government was so filthy, so dirty, that this is what they were able to do as far as sending money all around the world or sending money to people that don't even exist. Like one of the things that we saw over the weekend were the amount of people that were 150 years old who were getting Social Security payments.
Checks, yes.
I'm not sure I know any 150-year-olds.
Not out of the Bible. I remember some in the Bible, but that's about the last time.
Yeah, they were aliens.
Well, okay. Well, I don't think I realized that part.
So here's Byron Donalds explaining on Bill Maher about a post-Constitution era.
Do you believe, as Mr. Voigt said, that we are in a post-constitutional time? Because I didn't get that from the Biden administration. They did make mistakes. Some of what you say is true. But a post-constitutional time, is that your view, that we're in that? And should we be?
If you hold the view that Russ Vought does, and by the way, he was confirmed as OMB director. So he's now the director of OMB for the second time. He was OMB director under President Trump the first time. If you believe that it is okay for the executive branch to suppress free speech, if you believe that it is okay for the executive branch to tell soldiers, to tell workers that they have to take a vaccine or they're going to lose their jobs, then yes, you are in a post-constitutional situation, because then the executive becomes all powerful. That's what the Joe Biden presidency was. They were suppressing speech. They were creating their disinformation bureaus. And the only reason those got taken down is because the public reacted. One other example.
I was critical of that. It's a little different than the head of the FBI saying, we're coming after our enemies. The Biden administration didn't have enemies.
And I will tell you, this administration doesn't have them either. What they want to see.
He just said.
No,
he
what they
said, I have an enemies list.
They want to see the law applied evenly. And if we're going to be honest, they were not applying the law evenly.
Well, that's hysterical, but okay.
It's the truth.
Bill Maher, totally the truth, as he tries to spin away from it so quickly.
And he knows it. That's the thing that pisses me off about him.
Yes.
That's the thing that irritates me the most.
They didn't have an enemies list. Are you
Donald Trump was #1 on the list.
Did I not sit through 4 different cases all around the country that have been proven at this point to be pure lawfare? Did I not see that you had a deep state that recognized that the only thing they could do to Donald Trump was impeach him, then try and use lawfare against him, and then when that didn't happen, to kill him? And they're sitting back saying, we didn't have an enemies list. You tried to kill him.
Did they not put billboards up on Georgia 400 and all around Metro Atlanta? If you know someone that was in D.C. on January 6th, call the FBI now so we can go get them. That is also people who are on the enemies list of Biden.
Listen, I'm not going to point out the left's hypocrisy because they're always hypocritical.
Yeah, of course.
They're always this way. But these are the same people, as I point out their hypocrisy, these are the same people that are worried about your data, what Doge is getting after. Yet these are the people that went to cell phone companies and said, tell us everyone who is in D.C. on this date.
And social media companies, tech companies, where they said, you must tell our story.
Give us the information.
If you do not silence anybody that doesn't step in line with the narrative that we're pushing, we're going to punish you, company.
We are actually heading back into a constitutional era. We just happen to have receipts. All right, that's the big difference. So if you did wrong, or you bilked this country out of money, or you colored outside the lines, you're going to pay for it.
As you should.
And that's fine. And this all started. Think about the era we're currently in. Is it non-constitutional? Is it past the constitutional era? We're actually taking people that had committed crimes and we're sending them home. So weird. This is the constitutional era we're in. You're here. You're not supposed to be. You've committed crimes. You're going home. That's weird. This is what it is now.
Well, it's probably weird to them. Probably not weird to us. Makes sense to us because that's logic. That's common sense. If you drive 800 miles an hour, it's probably over-exaggeration. If you drive 100 miles an hour, 110 miles an hour, because I saw them on 400 posting pictures and video, police departments, municipalities saying, hey, these people are doing 110. That's who we're pulling over. We're trying to make the streets safer. They're breaking the law, so they're being punished for it, which is exactly what you're saying.
We'll get more into this. The 80-20. The Democrats are on the side of 20% of America. So when Bill Maher is talking the way he's talking, and yes, those trained seals in his audience are clapping about it, the rest of us get to play this stuff and go, wow, they really have lost their way. Again, I was listening to Lindy Lee, Sean Ryan podcast, and she had, and remember, this is a person who has raised tens of millions of dollars for the Democrat Party. She flat out said, they ain't coming back. She's like, they got a decade of sitting back there. And she's like, there's no one on the horizon. There's no one they can buy into. And when they get into their politics, they come across as crazy. I had a tweet from like 2 weeks ago pointing about how it was never about the cost of eggs. It was about the direction of the country. I got some joker on Twitter retweeting me from 2 weeks ago about like, you don't have to buy eggs. This stuff doesn't bother you. I'm like, it doesn't because I'm vegan. I don't buy eggs. I'm like, but that's all they have.
I know.
This is it. And they've been told to talk about eggs. You're talking about eggs. That's all you have?
But that's the thing. Remember when we talked about eggs? Remember when we brought it up? Hey, things are just going up. Stuff's so much more expensive. Every one of those news outlets were like, what are you talking about? How can you say this? Nothing's wrong. You're wrong. Your eyes and your wallet are lying to you. Everything is great. And then they've been reduced down to that's all they have is the cost of eggs.
On Friday, we ended up getting the newest job numbers. And you can look at how the last 12 months of the Biden administration, every single month it was revised down. The government was lying to you about jobs that they had created. Now, one thing that they were being honest about, and it was right on the paper every single time, foreign-born workers were getting the jobs. Americans were at a net negative. That sounds kind of funny, but that's what it was. You were in a situation where we did not have jobs going to regular, natural-born citizens. They were going to people that were not origined out of this country.
Dude, and the numbers were astronomical, too.
And that's the reality. You can tell me all about eggs and, the price of eggs. I'm going to say bird flu, and this is what you have. This is your argument for America right now. I'm too busy winning to pay attention to the silliness of what you have going on. And you know what's going to happen today?
We'll have time.
And you know what's going to happen on Tuesday? Anna Paulina Luna, that hot thing, is going to drop another bomb on y'all tomorrow. After we drop another one today, I don't even know what it's going to be. I just know it's going to happen because this presidency does it all day long and all weekend. Did you not get a kick out of Caitlin Collins from CNN talking about how they didn't, as journalists, have to work on the weekend because the Biden administration wouldn't do anything on the weekends?
Yeah. Same thing is popping up with Doge, too, by the way.
Because he spent his entire time in Delaware on the beach or getting treatment.
That's the difference. A guy that is making change in Washington, D.C., a place that we've been told you could not change, and they've been telling you that for 50 years. Can't change it. Too bad. Sorry. We're doing our best. We got elected to come up here, but it's just hard. We can't. And now you know. that they were lying to you because they can. They work on the weekends. The Doge boys are keeping people up at night. It
They're
is
sleeping in offices.
Awesome. It's so awesome. The bureaucrats and the people that clean the offices are like, when do we clean?
The amount of 21-year-olds that are telling 35-year-olds, what exactly do you do here?
Why don't you tell me? Because I would like to
tell me
investigate
about
this.
that.
I'd like to feel this out a little bit. A vet that feels the same way you and I feel about fraud, waste, and abuse starts the 7 o'clock hour.
Hey, it's Flounder, and the Kimmer Show is live every afternoon from 3 to 6 p.m.
I could never close a deal. I was always a big brother. You know, well, never mind. Nobody wants to hear that crap. Sorry, I'm sorry. How are you? What's going on?
The old gay big brother,
Oh, don't worry about Kim.
No, they were.
The Kimmer Show, every afternoon from 3 to 6 p.m. on Extra 106.3 and the Extra app.
A musician with technical knowledge can play all the right notes. But one who cares enough to play from the heart gives music soul. At Truist, we believe the same is true for banking. Because when you work with someone who knows a lot and cares even more, you're unstoppable. Truist, leaders in banking, unwavering in care. Start feeling unstoppable. Visit truist.com/care. Truist Bank, member FDIC, leading based on top 10 U.S. commercial bank.
Convenience is defined as the state of being able to proceed with something with little effort or difficulty. Well, at RBM of Atlanta, we embody this philosophy. Meet our Mercedes-Benz pickup and delivery service. It gives you back time and money. Does your Mercedes-Benz need service? If so, we'll pick up your vehicle that's requiring service from your home or office and bring it back to our dealership for the required service. With over 100 appointments available every weekday, over 50 appointments on Saturdays, and more than 200 courtesy vehicles in our fleet, we're here to serve. We'll work around your schedule. We're here to save you time, energy, and money. RBM of Atlanta is a J.D. Power 2023 Diamond Dealer of Excellence for the customer sales experience and Georgia's only 9-time Mercedes-Benz Best of the Best winner. We're proud to be Atlanta's Mercedes-Benz connection since 1964. Pickup and delivery service restrictions do apply. Ask your service coordinator or service advisor for details.
True Prep on Cobb Parkway is your one-stop shop for emergency preparedness supplies, including freeze-dried food, water filtration, first aid, and more. They also have a large selection of firearms, including a huge selection of AR-15s, firearm accessories, and ammo at the lowest prices around. They're locally owned and operated, and you can visit their store in Marietta on Cobb Parkway or online at trueprep.com. That's truprep.com. Prepare today for a worry-free tomorrow at True Prep.
Hi, I'm Chris Lalamia, owner of the Trusted Toolbox. Got a to-do list a mile long? No problem. We've got the ultimate solution, our Handyman for a Day program. Here's how it works. You get a skilled handyman dedicated to knocking out your honey-do list. Paint touch-ups, drywall repairs, door adjustments, and much more, all done in one day. You want to jump into spring and not worry about your home? Call us now before the rush for your Handyman for a Day and call us at 770-623-3097 or visit us at thetrustedtoolbox.com. One call, one handyman, one day. The Trusted Toolbox.
The Dean's List with Janice Dean.
A teenager from Iowa who was honored for an incredible act of kindness in his community makes today's Dean's List. Middle school student Carter Lucci was talking to a classmate one day. He had no idea that the person he was having a conversation with was planning to end his life. It was later confirmed that this student had it all planned out and was going to take his life. But that moment with Carter changed something for that young person, and the connection made a difference. Carter was recently honored for his compassion towards others during a school board meeting. He was presented with an award that read, "No act of kindness, no matter how small, is ever wasted." Carter says he was humbled by the moment and says he is grateful that his classmate is now thriving. A reminder that you never know what someone is going through and that it's always best to be kind. Janice Dean, Fox News.
WFOM and W292EV Marietta, a Dickey Broadcasting Station. This hour is presented by Van Sant Law, vansantlaw.com.
The champs have been dethroned. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
That's a celebration in Philadelphia after the Eagles beat the Chiefs, spoiling Kansas City's bid to win a record 3 straight Super Bowls.
You started in Sao Paulo, Brazil, and you ended up at Super Bowl champions. Take the Vince Lombardi home to Philadelphia.
NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell handing out the trophy on Fox.
Hurts lets it go. Complete A.J. Brown. He's in. Touchdown, Eagles.
Philadelphia built a 24-0 halftime lead and beat Kansas City 40-22. Quarterback Jalen Hurts, who threw 2 TD passes and ran for a score, named Super Bowl MVP. President Trump was there in New Orleans, and before the game, he celebrated what he called Gulf of America Day while flying over what was the Gulf of Mexico that he renamed in an executive order. The president also reiterated to reporters on Air Force One his plan for the U.S. to own and rebuild Gaza, which many other world leaders oppose. And the president said he'll announce today 25% tariffs on steel and aluminum imports. And President Trump talked to Fox's Brett Baer, saying he trusts Elon Musk and the Department of Government Efficiency's push to cut wasteful federal spending.
Then I'm going to tell him very soon, like maybe in 24 hours, to go check the Department of Education. He's going to find the same thing.
And the president says he wants Musk to find fraud and overspending in the military. And Fox's Madeline Rivera reports.
A federal judge in Massachusetts is set to hear arguments this afternoon regarding the Trump administration's buyout of federal workers. The February 6th deadline was paused last week, giving workers more time to mull the offer to leave their jobs with pay until September 30th.
Another judge has temporarily blocked 3 illegal immigrants being deported from being sent to join others housed at the U.S. Guantanamo Detention Center.
Criticism is starting to emerge, primarily from the American Civil Liberties Union, which is questioning the living conditions there and whether the migrants will have access to legal representation.
And C.B. Cotton, America's listening to Fox News.
Quiet down, here she comes. Surprise! Your accountant just emailed to say your quarterly taxes are way higher than you were expecting.
At Progressive, we know small business owners don't usually like surprises because they cost you money. But a good surprise that could save you money? Getting discounts with a commercial auto quote from Progressive.
Also, your favorite employee is leaving. They're going to pursue their dream of being a veterinarian.
Surprise yourself. See if you can save in as little as 7 minutes at ProgressiveCommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Discounts not available in all states or situations.
Since 9/11, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation has been supporting America's greatest heroes and their families. Heroes who protect our communities and our country. Heroes like firefighter James Allen Dickman. While responding to an apartment fire, James perished in the blazing inferno. The cause of the fire was arson. Tunnel to Towers gave the Dickman family the gift of a mortgage-free home. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at T2T.org. Your gift will be a true life changer for families just like the Dickmans. Thank you.
Coffee, keys, and extra 106.3. That's how I get to work and home.
Tug and Los until 10. Glad that you're here. 404-741-1230 at Extra 106.3 across the social media platforms. Saying
contractually obligated, sir,
to do.
Well, you said thanks for being here.
Oh, yes. Well, you and I are, right. But anybody that chooses to be here, I appreciate them.
Oh, you mean the audience.
Yes, those guys.
And Joe.
And gals. And Joe and Chris.
Yeah, we're very happy to have you here.
Yes, without a doubt. Whether you listen at 106.3 FM, 1230 AM, on the app, which is available for Apple and Android, great way, maybe the best way to listen, or streaming on the YouTube channel. Hello.
Yeah, if you're listening on the app, text Tug.
Mm-hmm. Yes, please.
Actually, text on your phone to TUG.
Mm-hmm.
And just say, hey, I'm right here, and watch what happens.
They do have that down at the bottom of the app. If you do open that up, there is a thing called, right down the very, very bottom, scroll all the way to the bottom, is Radio Reporter. And you can just record a message, like saying, horrible things, if you'd like, or saying something that is helpful or informative.
Or
even.
text Tug to TUG.
You could do that.
And just say, what up, Tug?
You could do that as well.
Works on my phone. Not sure if it'll work on yours.
Well, that's why I was trying to. I'm sure that it works on the Radio Reporter thing. I'm positive that. I wasn't sure about the text, so I didn't jump on that.
I just want your phone to blow up. Oh, look, there you go.
Well, it already is.
Here comes the message.
Well, look, I just got one. It says, I'm right here. What's up, Tug?
See,
how about
there you
that?
go.
It did work. Oh, that's from Joe Virgin. No,
well,
I thought it was somebody else. That
not as surprising.
No, it's
he's kind of a captive audience.
Yeah, he's also obligated to be here.
Yes.
Financially obligated to be here. So.
Yes.
Sorry, Joe. Now, I hear for not much longer, though, I'm afraid that he's moving on to greener pastures.
Yeah, he's moving up in the company.
Moving on up.
And then it's just going to be you and I, and then we'll have to break in somebody new.
That's right.
Get him used to the audience. But good old Joe. Joe Joe's going to be captain of industry around Dickey Broadcasting here pretty soon.
I'm walking out with his chest all bowed up. And
look what I did. I got up at 4 o'clock in the morning and listened to conservative talk for several years.
As a liberal.
Give me the next job.
That's exactly right.
When they tell you some jobs around here, they'll be like, it's a grind. And Joe's like, are you serious?
Yeah.
Do you know how I have been grinding?
Are you joking? Seriously. There's no grind. This is a reward. I love it. I also love veterans because I appreciate what they've done. I appreciate their service to the country. And I ran across this gentleman who probably, 6 months ago wouldn't be considered a Trump voter. If you just saw him, they'd say, nah, ain't no chance that dude's voting for Trump. And then you see how well that Trump did with young voters and minority voters. This is a black man who served honorably in the United States military, and he's got a thing or two to say about what's happening with Donald Trump and Elon Musk.
I want to thank President Trump, Elon Musk, and Elon Musk's team of 6 for exposing the fraud that's been happening with U.S. aid. Personally, I call it U.S. fraud. But what's very disturbing to me, I served 24 years in the Army, 11 combat tours throughout everywhere. And my job was to get the soldiers who died in combat off the battlefield. Search recovery operator. I set up collection points. I still remember the faces of all the fallen soldiers, service member, Marines, Navy, Air Force. Either they was killed by a vehicle-borne IED, IEDs, aircraft being shot down, mortar attacks. I've seen it all. What's very disturbing is to find out that American taxpayer money was funding the enemies of the United States in the Middle East. How can that happen? Why did it happen? Killing our own troops. And when you take that flag off that transfer case, let me back up a second. This is very touching to me. My goal was to get the service members out of the country they died in. We put them in the transfer case, we put a flat drape over the transfer case, send them back home. But you know what happens once they get home after the service? Whoever's in charge present that family member that flag, and they say, behalf of a grateful nation. To make that hold true, those individuals from top to bottom who had knowledge about funding enemies of the United States need to be held accountable for treason to the highest level of the courts. Thank you, President Trump, Elon Musk, for exposing what's been happening. And to all the family members, we're not going to quit. We want to keep fighting for justice.
That is Army veteran Billy Todd. Billy had such conviction in his voice, it stopped me when I listened to him, and I couldn't stop thinking about what he was saying all weekend long because everything he said was so profound. He said, I was a search recovery operator, and he remembered the faces of the people who died for this nation as he got them out of the place where they made the ultimate sacrifice. And now he's learning that some of the money that killed those Americans were sent to the people who did that by our own government, by the federal government. So when he says, I'm grateful that Donald Trump and Elon Musk is exposing this, he means it because he's seen it at the highest level.
We talked about it last week, the meme that's a joke where it shows rockets being launched at Israel and then the Iron Dome activating and rockets being shot at those rockets, and how it says, your tax dollars at work, also your tax dollars at work. The more that we continue to learn about the spending, because remember, there are billions of entries into this. I read this one note, and it was the redheaded libertarian who had said sometimes it makes sense when you put it into a time form, that if Christopher Columbus landed at this country and burned a $100 bill the moment he did, and did so every minute from then until now, that is the budget for USAID.
Good Lord.
The amount of entries of stuff we're finding out of where we sent money and what damage it did is incredible. Like, it's incomprehensible.
I saw somebody wrote this on Twitter, and I can't give them credit because I can't remember who said it. But it was along the lines of what you're talking about, Los. And they said, am I going to find out they funded 9/11? And it got me to thinking, I was like, oh my God.
At this point, anything's possible. Oh my God,
anything's possible. Isn't it disgusting, though? And I understand why that Billy Todd, Army veteran Billy Todd, feels the way he does. Because if that's the case, if we learn that, I don't know what I'll do with myself. Like, I don't know that I'm ready mentally to hear that. And the crazy thing is, I'd almost be more surprised if I found out we didn't. That's the saddest part of it. I guess the silver lining is me and Los and Billy that we just played are so delighted. We take such joy in the dismantling of this swamp that they told me didn't exist, this deep state that they told me didn't exist, seeing it dismantled layer by layer, line by line. That will help me get through anything that we discover, I believe.
Well, this was the news media, namely the New York Times, that initially the deep state doesn't exist.
Oh,
There's not black money going to all these places around the world. And then it turned into, okay, it's been proven. Now, as of a year ago, they pointed out, yeah, but it's good for America that we have this.
Is it?
Now, granted, like I listened to Mike Rentz. He's the whistleblower who worked cybersecurity under Donald Trump 1.0. He was on with Tucker Carlson, and he talked about how, yes, it is important that we have influence around the world. It truly is.
Of course.
It's just that this has become this boondoggle, and it's happening across the entirety of the government. Like, we went through USAID last week. We're going to get to Social Security. We're going to get to Medicare, Medicaid.
Pentagon.
We're going to get to the Pentagon. All right, there's going to be so many of these stories where we say, that is outrageous. Why would you ever give money to this group? When people find out the amount of money we've been giving the Taliban on a monthly basis, they'll be shocked.
Yes, they will.
Shocked.
Absolutely will. It always started with, and I remember seeing this in the military when I served, and I'd heard about it before I served in the Navy. They'd be like, yeah, they're charging us $100 a hammer. I was like, well, can't you just go to Home Depot and buy one for $5? Like, why would you just buy it there?
Why can't we just go get a regular hammer?
Was this some superpower hammer?
Could I put it in an order and just go get the regular hammer?
Nope, you couldn't, because everything is done with intent. Everything is done intentionally, and it was all about funneling money. And now we know that. And the fact that most people hadn't even heard of USAID before like 3 weeks ago, I find that fascinating too, because it just wasn't. It wasn't an agency that was talked about, probably on purpose.
We brought it up in December. On this radio show, we brought it up in December about the spending that was going on and how your tax dollars were being used to influence media around the world, and that the focus of those dollars in 2016 turned to America, and it turned into, we have to change the way Americans are thinking. We've already done it around the world with our dollars. We cannot allow somebody like Donald Trump or some nationalist to take over what we have planned. That's when it turned on us.
I want you to understand how USAID actually got on the radar of Donald Trump and Doge. Listen to this.
The people who come first, like, they're probably the ones who are in on the biggest grift because, hey, I figured out how to grift this money. How USAID got to the top of the Doge list, I think, is one of the most interesting aspects of this story. So if you remember, on January 21st, Trump decided he would do a bunch of executive orders, right? And one of them was to pause foreign aid for 90 days. Okay, this seems reasonable. We got to take care of our country. That was part of his mandate for becoming the 47th president of the United States. So a couple of days later, the White House said, hey, this USAID leadership is trying to circumvent the executive order. In other words, they're just going to keep paying people even though the executive order came out. That alerted the Doge team. So Elon confirmed this on X. He said, quote, all Doge did was check to see which federal organizations were violating the president's executive orders the most. Turned out to be USAID, so that became our focus.
There you go.
There it is.
They screamed and shouted. They pitched the biggest fit. And if you recall, Elon Musk said, those that are screaming the loudest are probably the most guilty.
They just defied the order because they're the deep state. And what have we talked about on this radio show on a regular basis? The deep state, the bureaucracy, looks at presidents as being very temporary. They look at themselves as being the ones in charge. So the fact that they have Orange Man Bad telling them to stop sending money all around the world, they're not going to stop. And yet, what now happened?
Yeah.
Not only did they remove the lettering off your building, they fired a bunch of y'all.
They've stopped.
Yeah. You were told 14,000 workers. We only need 290.
So what we're going to do here is take this apart. And the American people, we referenced the CBS polling in the last hour, and the fact that 70% of Americans see Donald Trump doing what he said he would do, and they said, that's exactly what I voted for. 70%.
Donald Trump has never been more popular, ever. He has the highest favorability rating that he's ever had. 2016 to 2020, now, and remember what he's doing now is far more controversial. Actually removing people from the country. There was a story yesterday. There was like 12 workers at a restaurant. 8 of them were taken out by ICE. They were basically pointing out 80% of your workforce were illegals. Can't operate your restaurant this way. You know what I just said?
Good.
I am celebrating all this stuff. This winning is not getting old at all. One bit. I'm loving this all the way across the board.
You have to get it down to the bare bones. You have to reset everything. Then you can open up asylum. Then you can open up immigration. You can do all those. We just got to do it in an orderly fashion. You can't restart it in the middle of the chaos.
But the federal worker who does not produce anything in terms of a good or service, typically, not something that you can really monitor and go, oh, that's really adding to the GDP. During the Biden years, that was where all the growth was. It was all in the federal government. It was the size of government that continued to grow. So every one of these people, think about this. Marco Rubio's a pretty sharp guy.
Yeah,
He's been around this stuff for a long time. When he takes over an organization and says there's 14,000, but I only need 290, that was your money. That was your tax dollars. And by the way, I've got the note from Redheaded Libertarian, good old Josie, and this was actually from Bruce Fenton that she had put it out there. If Christopher Columbus took a $100 bill and burned it, then burned another one 1 minute later, and another and another and another every minute of every day, 24/7 from 1492 to today, and he also bought a private jet for $10 million every 6 months for 500 years and crashed each one of them, he still wouldn't have spent as much money as USAID spends of taxpayer money every single year.
Gosh, man, that didn't even seem real. It's like something that somebody just threw out there and made up, and yet the addition still works.
That's $44 billion of yearly spending, with so much of it being garbage.
88% of job growth in the country has gone to illegal aliens or legal immigrants, but immigrants, not Americans. No, or at least, I guess, if you're a legal
Let's just face it, they're illegals.
Yes. Yeah, there you
that's,
go.
That's who's been hired.
88%.
The foreign-born worker. That's the nice way they use of people that are not supposed to be here yet were given a job because they will do it for less than you will.
88%.
Yes.
And now we're looking at a federal government that has 2.42 million civilian workers in the federal government. 2.42 million. I don't think we need that many. I would like to see the government pared down, and that's what I voted for. That's what I'm getting.
If Marco Rubio looks at USAID and says 14,000 employees, I need 290 of them. All right, that's what they're slashing it all the way down to. Here's what I need that'll be essential, that'll get this thing done. When you have the Biden numbers, the amount of federal growth that occurred, these are outside of the illegals that were taking jobs, the jobs you wouldn't do, construction jobs, whatever, all the stuff that was actually middle-class, high-paying jobs that they were doing for far less. All right, once you get rid of that, and then you get rid of the federal employee who's just sitting on his arse all day long over on Pornhub, doing whatever he wants to or she wants to, man, think about how much more opportunity economically there's going to be for other people that actually want to work.
For all kinds of people from all over the United States of America, from every background.
I'm sorry I just described your Saturday, JoJo.
Well, but I mean, look, but it's fine if it's JoJo's Saturday. He doesn't work for the federal government.
You're right. You can do whatever you want.
He's not getting paid for it.
You're a producer, JoJo.
No, but I was just saying, he's able to do whatever he wants, and they can too when they're off the clock, man. I don't care what they do. I mean, it's kind of gross, but whatever.
But it's on the clock.
Yeah, but exactly. That's my point.
The problem.
Yeah, right.
So you got to go.
Y'all got.
And the more that them keep going away, the more I know I'm not supposed to celebrate job loss. In this case, if you shrink government, sorry,
I'm going to celebrate it like it's the 4th of July.
Can't wait. Let's see who else gets the pink slip this week.
65,000 have already shown their interest in leaving if they get paid through September. The White House's goal was about 200,000. So they're a tick short, but they've had a little bit of a speed bump with some federal judge that Barack Obama appointed saying, no, you can't do this. And the reasoning behind him saying this was so broad that it will be overturned immediately.
I call these speed bumps.
That's all it is. That's all it is.
It's like, just go find another court. It'll be immediately thrown out.
When we continue, the man representing Georgia's 1st District, U.S. Representative Buddy Carter, joins the Morning Xtra on Xtra 106.3. The Kimmer Show is only on Xtra 106.3 every weekday afternoon on your drive home.
Rebecca, hi, welcome aboard. What's going on?
You know what? First of all, I'm so excited you're back on the air because you make me happy.
Well,
you make me laugh.
Well, I'm not sure that sounds like me half the time, but you're very sweet. Thank you. Have a great afternoon.
The Kimmer Show, every afternoon from 3 to 6 p.m. on Xtra 106.3 and the Xtra app.
Advisory services offered through Master Plan Retirement Consultants, Inc., a registered investment advisory in the state of Georgia. Insurance, tax, and commodity services offered through Fricks & Associates, Inc., DBA Master Plan Retirement Consultants. The aforementioned are affiliated companies.
Retirement means different things to different people. Some folks want to travel the world. Some folks want to spend more time with grandkids. For me, I'm looking forward to spending more time with my guitar. Whether extravagant and robust or simple and cozy, every retirement needs a plan. You wouldn't take a trip without directions. You have to know where you are before you know where you're going. Master Plan Retirement Consultants have helped many like you plan for their own retirement. Not only does Master Plan help you create the roadmap, they join you on the journey. So whether you want to travel the world, become a pickleball champ, or just looking for a good porch, a sturdy rocking chair, and an acoustic guitar, remember to plan well because the destination is worth it. Visit masterplanretire.com to schedule your complimentary consultation today.
Millions of guys suffer from erectile dysfunction. That's 1 in 3 men. And I can tell you, I'm one of them.
If you or someone you know suffers from ED, Peyronie's disease, or PE, here's 38-year emergency room doctor and founder of Total Body Therapy of Georgia, Dr. Eric Deal.
Patients who enter my office are often frustrated, hopeless, depressed, and embarrassed. I understand the problem, and I'm going to help you fix it. We provide testosterone replacement therapy, the P-shot, and treatment for ED, PE, and Peyronie's disease. There's not just one therapy that can solve these complex issues. When you visit our clinic, you're going to see me. I'll do a complete history and physical prior to any treatment that we use. Take it from me, Dr. Deal. When it's not hard, it's really hard.
Call Dr. Deal for your free one-on-one evaluation and resolve your ED, Peyronie's, or PE issues. 404-777-1911. Total Body Therapy of Georgia. 404-777-1911. Online at tbtofga.com.
Have you thought about securing your hard-earned assets? Do you have concerns about the future? Protecting assets is crucial, and that's where Nelson Elder Care Law excels. As a family-owned and family-focused firm, we provide absolute assurance and peace of mind through our trademarked Absolute Protection Trust, tailored services in estate planning, probate administration, Medicaid crisis solutions, guardianship, and conservatorship. Our goal is to exceed your expectations and empower informed decisions. Visit NelsonElderCareLaw.com for asset protection and peace of mind.
True Prep on Cobb Parkway is your one-stop shop for emergency preparedness supplies, including freeze-dried food, water filtration, first aid, and more. They also have a large selection of firearms, including a huge selection of AR-15s, firearm accessories, and ammo at the lowest prices around. They're locally owned and operated, and you can visit their store in Marietta on Cobb Parkway or online at trueprep.com. That's TRUprep.com. Prepare today for a worry-free tomorrow at True Prep.
It's February 10th, and this is your Fox Daily Snapshot. Today is the day we all deserve. It's National Umbrella Day. Whether to keep the rain off our head, block the sun, or simply as a fashion accessory, the umbrella may be one of the most practical inventions of all time.
Singing in the rain, just singing in the rain.
Also on this date, in 1933, the Postal Telegraph Cable Company delivered the first ever singing telegram. And the great tenor Luciano Pavarotti gave his final public performance during the opening ceremonies of the 2006 Winter Olympic Games in Turin, Italy. Pavarotti would pass away in 2007 from pancreatic cancer. If it's your birthday today, you share it with Olympic gold medalist swimmer Mark Spitz, born in 1950. golfing icon, the great white shark, Greg Norman, born in 1955. I'm CJ Papa. That's your Fox Daily Snapshot.
The stories that matter to you. These are your Georgia headlines.
Good morning. These are your headlines for Monday, February 10th, 2025. DOGE, the federal budget slashing initiative led by billionaire Elon Musk, will hold its first legislative hearing this week with a panel that's going to be represented by U.S. Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene of Georgia, set to probe improper payments and fraud. Greene told Politically Georgia that her subcommittee of the Department of Government Efficiency will not target Social Security or Medicare benefits. This is going down on Wednesday. Funeral arrangements have been announced for a Roswell police officer killed in the line of duty last Friday. A public visitation for 24-year-old officer Jeremy Labonte will be held on Tuesday, February 11th from 3 to 6 at the Roswell United Methodist Church. Labonte was killed when he responded to a suspicious persons call on February 7, 2025. 23-year-old Edward Espinoza remains in prison. The Philadelphia Eagles are world champions after beating the Kansas City Chiefs in Super Bowl 59, 40-22. Your MVP is Jalen Hurts, quarterback of the Philadelphia Eagles. For your headlines, I'm Carlos Medina.
Tug and Los on the Morning Extra on Extra 106.3, 8 o'clock hours, brought to you by Central Heating and Air Conditioning. They are doing the Winter White Sale till the end of the month. Get a great deal on a new Carrier system. $2,000 off right back in your pocket. 770-GET-HEAT. CentralHeat.com is the website. Welcoming the man that represents Georgia's 1st Congressional District, Buddy Carter, to the show. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great, guys. I hope y'all are.
Yes, sir.
You're smiling ear to ear, Congressman. We've been enjoying these first 3 weeks quite a bit.
What a difference.
I tell you, lots going on. It's so exciting to me. I mean, finally, again, in America, we're talking about big things. We're talking about going to Mars. We're talking about buying Greenland. We're talking about making Canada the 51st state. We're talking about the Gulf of America. We're talking about the Panama Canal. You know, Washington used to be about big ideas, and now it's back. I mean, it's the golden age. It's really exciting.
I love the way you said it, though. You could hear the pride in your voice. You could see your chest poked out. It's fun to be an American again, buddy.
Exactly. And I tell you, the electricity, the enthusiasm up here, this is my 11th year up here, and I tell people all the time, the shine hasn't worn off for me. I'm still excited every time I come back up here. It's such an honor. But I will say that I've never seen the enthusiasm like I've seen now.
Congressman Buddy Carter is our guest right here on the Morning Extra, and I wanted to ask you about this, Congressman, because you've been so much about talking about spending and about responsible spending and getting our deficits in order. I believe that what we've seen this week, when the American people have seen how their taxpayer dollars have been wasted, has created a fervor for just how much can we cut. It's almost like the mentality of the country has changed this week.
Oh, well, it has. And finally, you know, you got a business person in the White House, and you've got you know, right now, I tell you, the Dems are the other side. They're really attacking Elon Musk. But, you know, you got a businessman who understands that we've got a bloated bureaucracy and it needs to be cut. And that's exactly what they're exactly what they're doing right now. I mean, the things that they're uncovering, $15 million for oral contraceptives and condoms and for the Taliban?
Yeah.
Are you going to be kidding me?
It's insanity.
$15 million? Holy cow.
Yeah, and that's just the tip of the iceberg, buddy, as we talk to Congressman Buddy Carter here on the Morning Extra. Do you feel like that all of this fraud, waste, and abuse that's being exposed, does that open the door more for the bill that you introduced, the Fair Tax Act?
I think it does. I think it does because I think it helps us to get our spending under control. You know, the fair tax is the consumption tax. People don't like taxes. None of us do. We don't like property taxes, income taxes. But given the choice between a property tax and an income tax, people would prefer a consumption tax because they are in control, as opposed to an unelected armed bureaucrat at the IRS. They're in control. You can decide how much you want to pay in taxes because you're going to be paying a consumption tax. And that leads to the same amount of revenue. We've got it set up at 23%. It'll bring in the same amount of revenue that we've got right now. And people say, well, what about a downturn in the economy and people stop spending as much? Well, I would submit to you that the government should stop spending as much during that time as well. If we have a downturn, we ought to have a downturn in spending in the government as well.
Congressman Buddy Carter is our guest on the Morning Extra, and we have often talked with you, and you have brought up how Republican leadership does not allow for an open discussion about Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid. I think the ray of light here, buddy, is what we're seeing with Doge, what we're seeing with Elon Musk, that if you start pointing out the waste, fraud, and abuse that go within those organizations, I think people have looked at it this way. I can deal with silly government. I don't want to deal with corrupt government. And I think it opens the door to maybe make some changes if possible.
I would agree 100%. You know, look, we all understand we need to pay taxes and that we need revenue. We all get it. There are certain functions that the federal government should have, and I think it's way too many right now, but at the same time, we understand there's basics. I mean, the number one responsibility of our federal government is to protect our homeland. We can only do that through a strong defense. We need to be funding defense. However, I will say that there's a lot of improvement that can be made over in the Pentagon, particularly in purchasing, and that's where I really hope that Doge is going to come in and if anyone understands purchasing in the defense mode, and in the defense sector, I should say, it would certainly be Elon Musk, and certainly he can help them in their procurement and help them do a better job with that.
I'm going to ask you to get out your magic crystal ball and look into the future. We've seen how much waste, fraud, and abuse was in USAID. And that is, what is it, Los? 1% of the budget?
It is 0.7 of 1%. By the way, Congressman, Representative Buddy Carter, did that surprise you to see so many of these numbers from USAID?
Quite honestly, yes, it did. I never thought it was that bad. I mean, I knew that, we all know there's waste, fraud, and abuse. Listen, anytime you've got trillions of dollars going out, you're going to have that. We all get it. But, man, $47,000 for a transgender opera in Colombia?
Yeah.
What?
Nuts.
How does that happen?
Nuts. It's absolutely insane. But that leads me to this question. Like, if you break out the crystal ball and you take out some of these big, like HHS or the Pentagon, as you mentioned, some of these big departments and agencies inside the federal government, what kind of fraud, waste, and abuse do you expect to see there?
Oh, there'll be plenty, trust me. And the president has indicated to us two things about, he doesn't want us to touch Medicaid. He doesn't want us to touch Medicare or Social Security. And I get it. I understand where he's coming from. Those are very valuable programs. And I believe that we can make some difference in other areas first before we go to that. Now, we do need to get to that. I still maintain that we need to address that, and I think we will. But I do agree that, let's look at the other areas first before we start messing with that. But at the same time, he's already said, look, even in Medicaid, if there's fraud, waste, and abuse, I want you to address it. I don't want any illegals getting Medicaid. He's made that clear to us. So we're looking at that right now. I'm chair of the Health Subcommittee on Energy and Commerce, so that's under my jurisdiction. And we are looking at that right now, seeing what we can find. And listen, we find it, we're going to cut it.
Representative Buddy Carter is our guest right here on the Morning Extra, and I wanted to ask you about this, sir. Oftentimes, I don't feel like we're on the right side of like the 80-20 issues. But this week, in the last 3 weeks, I feel like the everything that Donald Trump has brought up, that Elon Musk has brought up, that the Republican Party has brought up, we're on the 80 side. The Democrats are arguing from the 20 side. I feel like there is just this look over at what the Democrats are doing and saying, y'all come across as a party of crazy. And
from everyday Americans.
And it's empowering to the rest of all of us.
I would agree. And I think they're beginning to realize it, because what I see up here is that, they're saying, okay, we were wrong about the border. Y'all were right. We need to secure that border. Okay, y'all were right about energy. Yeah, we still believe in clean energy. We still think that we need to go to that route, but maybe we were pushing it too fast. Maybe we were pushing it too hard, and we need to slow down a little bit. It's costing the economy, and I think they're getting it. I think they're understanding that, hey, we were just on the wrong side of some of these issues.
But Congressman, I believe you when you tell me that there's Democrats up there saying that they say we push too hard or we're in the wrong place.
Yeah, is that a private conversation all the time?
Seriously, I've not seen anything. I saw people protesting in favor of waste, fraud, and abuse in front of the Treasury about USAID. Who are these people that you speak of?
Well, the people I speak of are really the ones. This is gym talk. I'm in the gym in the morning, and I'm in there with my colleagues, all of us who sweep in our office and clean up in the gym and work out and everything. And it really is a bipartisan area, and it's really an area where you can kind of let loose a little bit, and we do. And there's some, I got to tell you, there's some pretty good people on the other side who really understand it and really do want to do the right thing. But, so often you get sucked into your partisanship by leadership, and you can't blame it on leadership now. We all got to stand on our own, so let's don't blame it on leadership. But you get caught up in the partisanship sometimes. But in the gym, there's no partisanship. There's just sweat.
I love that, because that's what a gym is supposed to be. That's what a locker room is supposed to be. Congressman Buddy Carter is our guest right here on the Morning Extra. So one of the reasons I have felt so good for the better part of 3 weeks is every day it feels like this Trump administration is dropping another moonshot. This is what we're going for. Here's this information. Does it not feel fun right now to wake up every day and say, what's next? What's the next piece of information that they're going to drop out there, or their next plan?
It is so much fun, and I get asked that question all the time. What's next? What do you think's coming next? Heck, I don't know. Who knows what's coming next? But it's all good right now. I hope it keeps coming.
You brought up Democrats making sense and that there's good folks in that party. I believe that, and we encourage Democrats and people that disagree with us to call into this show all the time, Congressman Carter, and they do occasionally. They do show up, and we have debates, and it doesn't change the fact that we disagree on things, but I love the fact that you're saying there are people in D.C. that make sense. You don't see them a lot. I hate that they burrow themselves up and don't get on TV, because I'll be honest, the only one I've seen making any sense is John Fetterman on the Senate side, and I know it's a different group, but I'm sure you run across those folks too, but he's the only one that's not burrowing in. He says things and he goes, you shouldn't have a meltdown every time Trump says something. And he's right. Now, he did say, I'm not going to vote for RFK in Tulsi. I disagree with that. But I at least have the respect for him to say, okay, we see that differently. Why is it only in the gym except for one guy?
I don't know the answer to that, but I do agree with you. I was with John Fetterman at the White House during the Laken Riley act when that got signed, and he's a big guy, I tell you.
Yes, sir.
I don't know him very well, but he had on his hoodie and his shorts in the White House. I mean, it was unbelievable. It was great. I looked and I said, oh, my gosh.
Who's this man?
Who gave the bear clothes?
That's right.
I know.
It's so random and weird and funny and amazing at the same time. But I'll let you. Is there anything that you want to tell the folks that live here in Atlanta? Things that you're working on, things that are happening in D.C. that will benefit us here in Georgia, in your home state, and we'll finish on that.
Yes, there is. And that is that we are going to extend the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. The average family of four in the state of Georgia makes $50,000 a year. If we do not extend those tax cuts that were part of the first Trump administration, then taxes will go up for the family of four in Georgia about $1,500 a year. We can't afford that. That's why we got to get this reconciliation bill done. We got to get it done so that taxes will not go up on Georgians.
Yeah, it's so important. Can we codify it into law, though? I mean, is that something you feel good about?
Yes, I do feel good about it, and I do. Can we make it permanent? I'm not sure, but I do think we can extend it for at least 10 more years.
Okay.
That would be enough for markets to be able to react, and that's all I believe a lot of the American companies are looking for. Give me some runway and some knowledge on what my taxes are going to be like over the next 5 or 10 years, and I think we'll see the growth we want to see.
They want to see stability. They want to see certainty. That's exactly right.
Congressman Buddy Carter on the Morning Extra. Thank you, sir. We appreciate you coming on and talking to our folks and the things that you do for the great state of Georgia.
Thank you.
Indeed. Tug and Los on the Morning Extra, 7 o'clock hours, brought to you by Van Sant Law Group. If you're in an accident, make the right call. VanSantLaw.com. When we come back, the future is the new right. Next on Extra.
The latest sports news, powered by 680 The Fan, and driven to extra listeners by RBM of Atlanta in Sandy Springs, Atlanta's Mercedes-Benz connection since 1964.
The Philadelphia Eagles dominated the Kansas City Chiefs last night, 40-22, to be crowned Super Bowl 59 champions. The Eagles scored first and did not look back, scoring 34 unanswered points and holding the Chiefs to 0 points in the first half. Patrick Mahomes was rattled by the Philly D, losing a fumble and throwing 2 picks with 1 return for a touchdown. Eagles QB Jalen Hurts was named Super Bowl MVP, throwing 17 for 22 with 221 yards and 2 touchdowns. Hurts ran for 72 yards and a touchdown as well. This is the second Super Bowl victory in Philly's history, with their first coming in Super Bowl 52. For Extra 106.3 Sports, I'm Joe Virgin.
Insurance companies know that you don't know a lot about the law, so maybe it would be better just to let your lawyer make the call to the insurance company when there's a problem. David Van Sant should be that lawyer. He used to work for the insurance company. He knows who to call, what to say, and he has your best interest at heart. Plus, if you don't get paid, either does he. Van Sant Law, 855 GA Injury or VanSantLaw.com.
The future of business in Georgia is bright, and Georgia Power is a driving force behind the businesses and organizations that are vital to the growth of the state. Organizations like Georgia Tech.
Hi, this is Jay Batt, Director of Athletics here at Georgia Tech. The Georgia Institute of Technology in itself is an incredible place. We've got this tremendous history of success. We've got incredible corporations that invest in college football. And for us, that's part of our winning formula. We've got incredible alignment on our campus. We've got incredible alignment from our president to our head coaches to our donors. We continue to invest in the fan experience here in Bobby Dodd. Everything from what happens in game, from the music to the in-game promotions. It's really an important part of what we do. And we really have tried to expand that game day experience thanks to our partnerships. I think our fans will see continued investment in that game day experience. So we're really excited to continue investing.
To learn more about how Georgia Power is helping businesses big and small, visit GeorgiaPower.com and tune in all year to discover how they're powering the future of Georgia.
Who doesn't want a great smile? The world seems brighter because it is. Hey, it's a Kimmer. How's it going? You know, that's only one reason to see my dentist, Dr. Dina Giesler at Atlanta Smiles. The other reason, of course, is to take care of your teeth, or they're going to make your life miserable. We all know that. But when's the last time you were smiling before you walked in the door like me? Because I know Dr. Dina and her staff are the happiest Kimmer babes you ever saw. We're going to fix me up, and I always take the gas. They tell me my best stories come out that way. And you can actually get a doggy right there, napping in my lap, a little doggy. I said, go ahead, work away. Dr. Dina's a Navy vet, ranked a master dentist, which only 1% can say. She's been doing veneers since before anybody even knew what that was. My first visit was 30 years ago. Cosmetic dentistry, cleaning, bridges, crowns, especially keeping your teeth and gums healthy to last as long as you do. Veterans automatic 10% discount. Just tell them when you call. Atlanta Smiles, 404-262-7733. It's atlantasmiles.com. Your new smile's waiting for you. atlantasmiles.com. Tell them the Kemmer sent you. Ask for the doggy. atlantasmiles.com.
Hi, my name is Steve from Marietta, and we hired ATL Turf Co. to build our dream backyard golf setup. They installed a large 4-hole putting green, a sand bunker, a short game area, and did a full conversion to artificial grass around the pool with decorative retaining walls. ATL Turf Co. was really creative. They were efficient. The installation was a breeze. Price was completely reasonable, and I definitely appreciated their communication throughout the project. I would definitely recommend ATL Turf Co. to anybody thinking about doing a backyard makeover. You can check them out online right now at atlturfco.com.
I'm Chad Pergram with the Speaker's Lobby. Federal prosecutors based in Nashville have withdrawn from the criminal investigation of Tennessee Congressman Andy Ogles. Without explanation, acting U.S. Attorney Rob McGuire filed a notice recently to withdraw 2 U.S. attorneys. There's a legal dispute over the FBI's access to evidence seized from Ogles last year. McGuire's motion said the case would now be handled completely out of the Department of Justice in Washington. Such a move is unprecedented. For at least 6 months, Ogles faced an FBI investigation into potential fraud involving campaign finance statements he filed during his first run for Congress in 2022. There were questions about Ogles possibly loaning his campaign $320,000 of his own money. An inquiry found that Ogles didn't have resources like that to make a loan of that size. In an updated campaign report, Ogles declared he loaned his campaign $20,000. On the day after last year's August primary, FBI agents showed up at Ogles' farm in Maury County, Tennessee, with a second search warrant to seize his personal cell phone. With the Speaker's Lobby, Chad Pergram, Fox News.
The legend Neil Bortz is only on Extra 106.3. With daily commentary you'll hear throughout the day. And he's on live with the Morning Xtra every Tuesday morning at 7:30. Atlanta's only conservative news and talk station, Extra 106.3. And catch all of Neil's commentary on the Extra app.
Before we get to the future being the new right, Los needs to tell you about Lil Golo, because I didn't know about Lil Golo. He is a internet influencer, social media influencer type fella.
I guess so. I'm just learning as I go.
Yeah.
The man decided, it's a video that's making its way around the internet, he was going to run through pieces of tape. Now, this is, this is duct tape. It's not just a regular tape. No big deal with regular tape. So he does like a few pieces at a time. And then he does 100 pieces. And then he's like, I'm going to do 1,000 pieces. And the dude hit it so hard, I put it out on Twitter at Front Office Los. He knocked himself out.
Which is the funniest thing I've seen.
To see that tape just not give an inch and his body just
like he'd been
falls
hit
to the
by
ground.
like a linebacker or something.
Yeah, like a monster hit in an NFL game. His body goes flying and his head hits the pavement and he's knocked out. They have to take him to the hospital.
I hate that for Lil Golo. I do. But it's interesting to me that the first time he ran through, the tape, it broke, and he's all celebrating. He's a tough guy, and
he's all flexy.
Yes, and then he gets the 1,000 sheets of duct tape, and they wrap it around these two bars, and he plows through it. Like Lo said, feet go straight up. He comes down. He was fine on the first one. That second one did not treat him as well.
His eyes are rolling in the back of his head because of the concussion.
Goodness, this is what social media is, right? Like. What kind of knucklehead? What kind of weirdo is like, I got an idea.
Hold my beer.
I'm going to run through some tape. What? You do what? Anyway.
Maybe the most daring thing I think about is, hey, why don't you do like 5 minutes of stand-up comedy somewhere? Like, that seems, to certain people, that seems scary. Seems like it'd be fun to me.
Yeah.
But I'm never going to run through tape. That sounds stupid.
Completely stupid. Yet... he did get our clicks.
Yes, he did.
So he wins, technically.
He got a hospital visit.
He loses
to the emergency room.
But he's getting paid. He's getting paid because he's getting clicks. How many clicks do you think that thing? How many views do you think that thing's got? Can you?
All right, hold. Let me see where we're at.
We're trying to figure out how many views Lil Golo got before he knocked
himself out.
He knocked himself out running through tape, and if you want to see it, at Front Office Los is where you can find it.
So at Colin Rugg is the person who ended up pointing out there of Lil Golo, the Australian social media personality, rushed to the hospital. His video of the incident has 5.2 million views.
And that's just one that's shared. I bet Lil Golo's up, and I bet he's at 10 million by now, if not more. We should be, I guess we need to be more stupid, Los.
Wow. Okay, so here's the fun part about this. This guy, followers, total, 6,900.
That's about to change.
So no wonder he's doing all this crazy stuff.
Yeah, that's about to change. 5.2 million viewers. People are going to just click on it just because.
That's just not enough. That's why you're doing this craziness.
Yeah. Let's see what other foolish thing we can do next. We have seen foolishness from, my entire life. From the time I can remember watching news and watching and keeping up with government and politics, I have seen foolishness, kind of like Lil Golo. But this foolishness is costing you money. Like where that one will cost you a minute or two of your time, and you might chuckle at it, or you might say, this is the stupidest thing I've ever seen, never going to watch it again. When it comes to the government wasting your money, you have no choice but to look at it and to deal with it. And I feel like that's what President Trump is doing. And this is the birth, really, of the new right. I mean, as far as like them planting their flag, we are moving forward in a different way than we ever have before.
There's a compilation of economic conditions that are going on. So, for instance, I bring up our friend JoJo. JoJo, who is moving up in the world.
That's what we hear.
At some point, he's got his relationship. He'd like to perhaps live on his own house, be able to do his own stuff, pay for that. The economic conditions as it stands right now does not allow JoJo to do that very easily in comparison to people that came a generation before him, 20 years before him. Now, fast forward to even like our friend Flounder, same boat. This is what he had to do to get to that point. Remember when he was like, I'm just saving up money. I'm waiting until I want to buy my own place. Obviously, he's going to be getting married.
As long as he's been working here, he has been saving.
He's been saving. So what you now have is this burgeoning new right. Charlie Kirk had the numbers in that CBS poll. Young people are plus 10 when it comes to Donald Trump because they've had to live with these economic conditions so long that the stuff that they heard from other people, like for instance, if you were to say, hey, Los, when did you buy your first house? Like, I was 25. They're going to be like, well, how'd you do that? I'm like, well, that's how it was. Yeah. That's what you were able to do. That's right. That's not realistic for a lot of these young people right now.
Same age, I think we were 25 as well when we bought our first home. And it was a townhome. You know, it wasn't anything
crazy.
The
3-bedroom townhome.
But nobody can do that now. Yeah, that's the problem.
Because the price, when you start breaking it down and you look at where these, it's not just a matter of the incomes. Because you only make a certain amount of money when you're out of school. Unless your name is doctor, or you're an attorney,
or your daddy's name is doctor,
or your daddy, or you're a nepo baby. There's not like somebody is showering you with money when you're first getting going, you're first building up experience. Unless you create the company at 19, which some people do that, like Michael Dell. I saw his tweet when he was making fun of when they were going after Doge's young people. Yeah. He's like, worked out well for me when I started at 19.
Yeah.
But unless you do that, it's very hard nowadays. And so that's why I think that those numbers with Donald Trump, and I think that's why you're seeing the new right. The new right is young, it's fast, it's aggressive, and it's frustrated with the status quo.
Tired of seeing the same old, and they want to see change. They've not seen it. During the 4 years of the Biden administration, they didn't see anything change. If anything, they saw it get worse and more difficult. Now, they got kids working in Doge overnight. People are like, we don't even know what to do with these people. We don't know when we can clean the office because they never leave.
If you missed this story, this was the beauty of what's going on when you bring in a different kind of worker. Like, I have a friend of mine. His wife went to work for the CDC about a decade ago. She lasted there about 2 or 3 months. You're like, well, why is that? Because she got so frustrated with the grab ass and the amount of stuff that wasn't getting done. She's like, I can't work with people like this. She's like, I have to go out and do something different. And so she went out and did something different, but she got her taste of what government looks like. Doge, with the amount of hours they're putting in, you have people that are going on camera and talking about how we're keeping the offices open longer, and they're working harder than we've ever had with people that are around here.
Nobody recognizes the efforts that are being put in. I mean, they can't believe it. They're so surprised by it because that's not what D.C. does. D.C., they shun that. They don't want you overworking because then you'll show up somebody. You got to have a status quo. We can't show anybody up.
There is a CEO culture in Silicon Valley that is, can you work 20 hours? Can you work 20 hours a day? This guy only sleeps 3 to 4 hours and he goes right back to work. All of these people that made their money through Silicon Valley, and again, you can equate Elon in there, you can equate Mark Cuban, all these people, they have these stories about how they would sleep for 90 minutes and jump right back on the computer and start working again. That mentality is what is happening with Doge in Washington right now, and the rest of Washington doesn't know what to do. Because that's not their mentality.
Joe, do you have that cut? Let's play that real quick. It's David Sachs, and he's like, engineers, these guys are working around the clock, and the facilities people are not sure how to handle it or what to do.
Fun anecdotes from Doge you want to share?
I'll give you one anecdote, which is I've been working late here a number of nights at the EOB, and I won't tell you where the Doge guys are based, but I know where their office is, so I just went by there to say hi. The whole room was full of young coders. I think they were engineers, but they're wearing like suits and ties, so that's a little different, but they were all working really late. I mean, they're working there late at Friday night, and the facilities people don't know what to do because they've never had people like asked to stay late on Friday night before. So they've had to create new facilities access for these guys.
That's the new right.
That's a Silicon Valley way of going about your work. It's not over. I'm just going to keep grinding.
But isn't that what we've taught? At least I know you and I have, and I would imagine you listening right now. Isn't that what you taught your kids? Outwork everybody. Put your best foot forward. Never leave anything on the table. You get out there and you work and grind, and you do not quit until the job is done. That's what I've instilled in my son, and I know that's what Los is instilling in his daughters. I've seen it. Look, they're athletic. Maybe that's the difference, and maybe it doesn't work that way, but it seems like in at least technology it does.
When your leader, when the person who's running this, is sleeping in a government office, and he is the richest man in the world, what are you willing to do?
It's a great question.
Think about that. No wonder they're because this dude is sleeping in an office as the richest man in the world, and you're thinking to yourself, let's see if I can get another hour in. Maybe
Absolutely.
2 more hours.
Because that's where I want to be. That's my goal, and I've got the roadmap now on how to get there.
Telling you, that is CEO Silicon Valley culture. Now, it's not always healthy.
No.
But for the time being, that is the culture that is now entered into D.C. to deal with this fraud, waste, and abuse.
Trump's approval ratings are at a historic level. We'll talk about that after the Neil Bortz report and the Fox News update here on Extra 106.3. We're glad that you're here. 404-741-1230. If you're in the next hour, you'd like to get involved in the conversation, something you'd like to talk about. It doesn't matter if it's a Super Bowl or something that Trump is doing, something you wish you were doing, or something that has ticked you off that he has done. All of them are welcome.
Time for the Bortz Report, exclusively on Atlanta's only conservative news and talk station, Extra 106.3.
No, I didn't watch the Super Bowl. I understand the Eagles won, and that's great, because I've had Travis Kelce and what's-her-name up to here. But I was interested in the commercials to see if anybody could be as clever as I was with my vacuum world where business really sucks ad and others. So I tuned in just before the game, and what do we see? They're going to sing the Black National Anthem. No, thank you. There is only one national anthem, and lift every voice and sing Ain't It. I wish it was America the Beautiful, but I don't see that happening. Then I got tricked into watching some of the end of the game. I heard that there were some Doge commercials, you know, the Department of Government Efficiency, so I tuned in to see one of those. No luck. I can't find them on YouTube, but I hope they were aired, because I can just only imagine how the left will go bat guano crazy when they see those things. Donald Trump and Elon Musk are dismantling the Democrat Party's very reason for existence. Big, huge, overpowering, oppressive government. And the Democrats are filing lawsuits left and right to try to stop him. Have they introduced any legislation on their own to respond to the obvious voter demand for less government? No. They just go to judges. Stop him. Stop him from doing this. Stop him from doing that. And they're most afraid of Trump actually succeeding in getting rid of the Department of Education. That's the Democrat cash cow. The strongest labor union in America, teachers' unions, give 95% of their donations to the Democrat Party. Democrats are scared to death of losing that money. Okay, I'm going to go on a search for those Doge commercials again. Maybe they'll show up somewhere today. Neil Bortz, Extra 106.3.
The Atlanta Braves giveaways for this season are here, and you don't want to miss this lineup. Bobbleheads feature Chris Sale and Marcell Ozuna, presented by Delta, and a throwback bobblehead featuring Chipper Jones from the 2000 All-Star Game, presented by SeatGeek. Fans can also look forward to collectibles like the 1995 World Series replica ring and red home jersey giveaways presented by Coke, and a replica of Truist Park, perfect for your office. Visit Braves.com/promos to purchase your tickets today.
Lee Brandt Jewelry and Watch Company, where quality and value make the difference. Locally owned and located in Sandy Springs, offering you the finest selection of unique diamonds, sapphires, rubies, and emerald jewelry, as well as other fine gemstones. Lee Brandt Jewelry and Watches has been servicing Rolex watches for over 30 years, and their Rolex-trained watchmaker will service your watch in their state-of-the-art Rolex service center in their store. Lee Brandt uses only genuine Rolex parts, and their estimates are free. Drop by Lee Brandt in the Trader Joe's Shopping Center in Sandy Springs or visit LeeBrandt.com.
Hey, Georgia neighbors, it's time to expect more from your Medicare Advantage. Discover Sonder Health's custom plans tailored just for Georgians. Saunders offers unique benefits, including special plans for those living with chronic conditions. Some plans even come with grocery or gas benefits to support your overall well-being. Sonder Health makes it easy to get the coverage you need. See for yourself what today's Medicare Advantage can do for you. Visit SonderHealthPlans.com, a healthier state of life. Sonder Health Plans is an HMO and PPO with Medicare contracts. Enrollment in Sonder Health Plans depends on contract renewal.
One of my favorite Babylon Bee headlines just now said, democracy falls as the man who received the most votes becomes president, ladies and gentlemen.
The Kimmer Show every afternoon from 3 to 6 p.m. on Extra 106.3 and the Extra app. WFOM and W292 EV Marietta, a Dickey broadcasting station. The 8 a.m. hour is brought to you by Central Heating and Air.
They're planning a parade in Philadelphia. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. After a super blowout.
Credit to the Eagles, man. They played better than us from start to finish.
Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes' bid to win a record third straight Super Bowl denied.
Intercepted. Picked up by Cooper DeJean. Gets a block. DeJean.
He ran that back for a touchdown on Fox. Another Mahomes interception led to another Eagles score. Philadelphia's QB, though, had a much better game with 2 TD passes and a touchdown run for Jalen Hurts.
Couldn't be here without my teammates. You know, the effort, the determination everybody displayed to get to this point.
Hurts was named the Super Bowl MVP after Philadelphia's 40-22 win over Kansas City. President Trump was at the game in New Orleans before he made news on Air Force One, reiterating his plan to take control of Gaza as Israel's ceasefire there still holds.
We're committed to owning it, taking it, and making sure that Hamas doesn't move back. There's nothing to move back into. The place is a demolition site.
Other Middle East leaders oppose that, wanting a Palestinian state still. The president also told reporters he'll announce today 25% tariffs on all imports of steel and aluminum into the U.S., which could lead to retaliation. The president also told Fox's Brett Baer before the Super Bowl.
And look, we're not that rich right now. We owe $36 trillion. That's because we let all these nations take advantage of us. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to let that happen.
The president also praised Elon Musk and the new Department of Government Efficiency, trimming federal spending, saying he wants Musk to make cuts at the Departments of Education and Defense next.
We have to solve the fraud, waste, abuse, all the things that have gone into the government. You take a look at the USAID, the kind of fraud in there.
Though judges have ruled to limit Musk and Doge in recent days. One temporarily blocked putting thousands of workers on leave at the Agency for International Development. President Trump also posted on Truth Social that he's told the Treasury Secretary to order the U.S. Mint to stop making pennies because it costs more than 2 cents to make one. America's listening to Fox News.
Quiet down. Here she comes. Surprise! Your accountant just emailed to say your quarterly taxes are way higher than you were expecting.
At Progressive, we know small business owners don't usually like surprises because they cost you money. But a good surprise that could save you money? Getting discounts with a commercial auto quote from Progressive.
Also, your favorite employee is leaving. They're going to pursue their dream of being a veterinarian.
Surprise yourself. See if you can save in as little as 7 minutes at ProgressiveCommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Discounts not available in all states or situations.
Since 9/11, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation has been supporting America's greatest heroes and their families. Heroes who protect our communities and our country. Heroes like firefighter James Allen Dickman. While responding to an apartment fire, James perished in the blazing inferno. The cause of the fire was arson. Tunnel to Towers gave the Dickman family the gift of a mortgage-free home. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at T2T.org. Your gift will be a true life changer for families just like the Dickmans. Thank you.
Tired of all the negative media manipulation? Wake up feeling right with a Morning Extra on Extra 106.3, Atlanta's only conservative news and talk station.
Tug and Los on the Morning Extra on Extra 106.3. Download the app so you listen live and on demand. The Georgia Bulldogs were all over the Super Bowl. I mean, obviously you know about the 6 or 7 players that were playing in the Super Bowl, but then I've seen pictures of NASCAR Cup Series champion Chase Elliott sitting there in a nice suite, rocking a UGA polo. Yeah, I mean, he's a huge Georgia fan too, so you just say, I mean, everywhere you turn, the University of Georgia was representative. Jalen Hurts even talked about Georgia's defense the philosophy and the cohesion that they brought to Philadelphia with them, and it certainly showed up last night. It was a it was a blowout. Hey, I guess if you're an Eagles fan, it was great. For just a casual viewer of NFL football, it was boring.
I need the city of Philadelphia to be swallowed up by a giant sinkhole.
Yeah,
but of course nobody dies though.
Right, of course. Close.
So that's how I was rooting last night. If there is a small silver lining, it is the Georgia players now have a national championship, 2 of them, and a Super Bowl for quite a bit of that defense.
So cool for that to happen. I've got no reason to cheer for Philadelphia anything, and I wasn't really cheering.
Nor should you.
I wasn't really cheering for Philadelphia, but I was pulling for those guys. Hard not to pull for them to see them do well individually, and they did. Look,
YouTube, look at me. Look at me in the eyes, YouTube. Who's the true son of the South? It ain't Tug Cowart.
Well, I don't know about that.
He's rooting for Philadelphia.
I was never. There
we go.
Loosely, I was rooting for a few players that played at the university that I care about. Loosely. If Philadelphia had lost,
Carpet Country is turning its back on you right now.
I hope not. I hope not. If Philadelphia would have if it would have been a blowout the other way, I would have been fine with it. Because I was going to bed just after halftime anyway. I wasn't going to make it.
Outside of the Liberty Bell, what is there really to root for? The biggest thing Philadelphia's ever given you is a fake Italian boxer.
Yeah, Rocky.
And cheesesteaks.
Ooh.
Nah.
Yeah, well, but Los is vegetarian.
But I never liked him. But even
didn't?
then, yeah.
No, really? Okay, I do love cheesesteak. Oh, they're horrible for you. I feel certain.
Yes,
but man, are they tasty. You know, look.
You're going to spend the rest of your evening, with the porcelain god.
Well, but I don't
enjoy yourself.
I don't struggle with that. That's something I don't struggle with.
Everyone struggles with that, Tug. It's a great equalizer.
No,
doesn't matter if you're worth $1 billion or $20. Everybody feels the same, Tug.
My wife will tell you. She's like, I don't know how you.
She's like, you
have a steel lined stomach. I didn't realize this. This is probably a little bit gross, but I'll tell you anyway. We were making sandwiches yesterday after church.
You put nails and screws in yours?
Yes. How'd you know? No. I just took out the turkey that was in the refrigerator, and Laura's like, oh, my God, I forgot to throw that away. Because it had been at least 3 days. And turns out it was 2 weeks, and it tasted just fine. And it was she said it was, I don't know that it was 2 weeks old. She said it was 2 weeks old. Again.
Totally fine.
But it was totally fine. And she was like, oh, my God, how are you eating that? You're going to die. You're going to get sick. No problems.
See, your gut health is right where it needs to be.
Absolutely. I've got a healthy, and you know what they say about good gut health?
You have a good bacteria that's able to deal with this stuff.
It's like Hulk Hogan, man.
That's right.
Just, hitting all the Hulk Hogan poses.
One point we are going to have the science that'll tell us, because we're getting there, that the gut health ends up taking care
of everything.
Of so many things.
That's right. Brain health is connected to gut health. Probably vision.
Your risk of cancer is tied to gut health.
I think so too. You're already starting to, like you said, you're already starting to see those studies that show you your gut health may be the most important thing.
Might be
in your body.
I mean, it was Dr. Sabine Hazan that we had on as a guest. So she's the show's very own.
That's right, and very cool lady.
She had a paper she put out. And it actually showed, depending on your gut health, if you had certain bacteria that was present in your gut, you couldn't get COVID. So you had some people that were walking around like I never got it.
Yeah.
It's like it typically, and what she did is she then followed up with a massive study that was studying people's stool samples. So she has a book called Let's Talk About S, because that's what she studies in order to figure out what your body's doing and what it can process and what it can do to keep itself healthy. So, yeah, you can eat all the 2-week-old turkey you want, Tug. No problem.
Didn't bother me none.
Rocks.
I don't believe.
He just eats rocks.
I don't believe that it was 2 weeks old. I do not believe that. She would have had that thrown away 3 days in, like she normally does.
You've eaten drywall. You're fine.
I did as a child, yeah. I don't know how I had to bring that up right now.
It's like a feral dog. Just eats drywall and rocks. And
I was very young. I was like 3, 4, 5 years old. And I mean, my mom and daddy were putting an extra room on the house. And I would just sit and chew the drywall. And they couldn't, but they were like, what? What are you doing? Stop doing this. And every day I would go back and there would just be more chew marks. They said they had to replace a whole, corner of, I had to cut it out and replace it because I had eaten so much of it.
Sneaking drywall.
Danny.
To wash it down with some paint thinner.
I don't recall, Joe. I was very young.
That chi, Danny. Some of that drywall, Tug.
Now
That's
you
right.
sharpen down your teeth so you can munch on scrap metal.
That's exactly right. Here's what the Democrats are
You
fighting
eat
for.
that shoe over there.
Right. Hand me some of that Lysol all-purpose cleaner.
I'm so hungry for that leather shoe.
I'll wash it down with the Lysol. 45% more it kills the germs, including the COVID-19 virus. It'll be good for my gut health and my brain. It's so nuts. I know it's nuts. The Democrats, here's what they're fighting for. The Democrats are fighting for the government at its highest levels as far as employment. They have more employees now than they did since World War II. Now, are they doing something productive? Not that we can tell.
Wait, you're telling me they have more employees than fighting a world war on two different fronts around the world?
That's correct, Los. And that's what the Democrats are fighting for. Bloomberg Magazine, the U.S. government's headcount, grew to its highest level in any non-census year since World War II in January, according to the figures released. Who thinks bloated government is a good idea? That'd be the first question I ask any person. Tell me how a bloated government is a good idea. And if you have a bloated, let's say you have a private company. Let's say you own a little bakery. Or maybe you work at Home Depot. I don't know, because I like to eat sheetrock. I kid. No, if you have a little bakery and you have, let's say you have 50 employees, but you only have need for 4. Do you think that bakery is going to stay in business very long? Of course it's not. But the government, they don't face those issues because they have your tax dollars rolling in and they're handing it out like Pez candy.
And they're not producing typically a good or service.
Nothing.
It's a drain on your society. It's a drain on your economy. This has never changed. We are talking about a federal government that employs 3 million more people than Amazon. And you think, when you make that order, hey, buy now on Amazon, think about the processes that then kick in. Yeah, some of it's going to be automated, but there's somebody who's handling your package in a warehouse that's getting it over to a truck. That person drives on the truck. That person delivers it to your home. Those are services that are provided. Yet 3 million more people exist in the government. And many times, as the joke has been, tell me about what you do here.
Well, nobody will be able to answer that question, as we've learned. They can't believe that the Doge employees are staying late on Friday night because nobody in Washington, D.C. stays late on Friday night. And to your example about Amazon, they do it efficiently.
Now, when I log into this computer, or Joe's computer, or anybody else's computer outside of yours, Tug, you got pretty Apple computer.
Yeah, well, that's old, though. God,
I know, but still.
2013.
So when any of us within the office log into our computer, here's our Microsoft software. And when you log into our email and everything else, it's all Microsoft-oriented products. 5 million more employees in the federal government than are at Microsoft.
Cool. And Microsoft, one of the most successful companies in the world. And
provides software that is worked on all day long, all around the world. 5 million more employees in our federal government.
Makes no sense. And the Democrats are screaming bloody murder. They are suing the Trump administration to keep him from firing people. Imagine that. Let that bounce around in your head for a little while. The Democrats are so dead against wasting, and they're so into being able to waste, have fraud just rot throughout the federal government, just abusing it every which way that they can. They're suing to stop somebody from preventing what you voted for. That's where they are as a party.
They are going to every judge they can to create as many speed bumps as they can. It's taken 3 weeks for them to realize they're being attacked on all fronts. And so initially it was, well, let's try and use the media to say that this is a bad idea. That wasn't working. All right, let's see if we can change tactics. Maybe we'll protest it. Well, that's not working. Here's their last one. This is straight out of the Democrat playbook. Now let's use the law. And that won't work either.
No,
but they're going to try. This is their last, because the protesting isn't working. The media isn't working. Now they'll try lawfare to try and slow some of this down and being attacked on every front.
Evidence to prove exactly what Front Office Los is saying. CBS News sadly had to report that Donald Trump's numbers, his approval numbers, are at a record level.
Our CBS poll finds that a majority of Americans, 53%, approve of the job he's doing. That's a better approval number than he ever reached during his first term in the White House. What's driving this?
I will keep it simple, Margaret. He's doing, in the eyes of the public, what he said he would do in the campaign. There's political value in that. In fact, 70% of people say he's doing what he promised. That's whether they approve of him or not. Now, there's another part of this that continues over from the campaign. There were words that he was described as being tough, being energetic, and he still is today in big majority numbers. So as people take a look in these first few weeks, there's been a lot of activity. They're getting that general sense of governance, and that's being reflected in these early numbers.
Do you know how bad it hurt CBS to have to admit that? This is the same people that edited an interview with Kamala Harris to make her look more presidential, to make her look coherent. Do you think they wanted to deliver that news? I'm surprised they did.
30 seconds of silence. That was part of that CBS interview of all the stuff they were trying to. I remember watching that going, what a weird scenario of them having to edit on the fly because they had to do everything they could to make her look good. I'll go back to that podcast. I listened to the Sean Ryan podcast over the weekend with Lindy Lee. That was one of his guests who was a Democrat fundraiser, lifelong Democrat fundraiser. And she brought up how Joe Biden was never in charge. That there were, and she named like the 5 or 6 people, we had like Ron Klain was one of the people that we always brought up. She talked about how Jill Biden started running the high-level meetings along with her son.
We only saw it one time. Remember when they put it out? One time she was sitting at the head of the table and everybody melted down.
They're like, what is she doing? She believed that she was president. That's why when you had after the debate, you did everything right, Joe. You answered all the questions. She brought up how at that point she believed that she was president. She was the one making the sort of calls along with Hunter Biden. Yeah. So when we now have a real president, all that means is the buck stops with one person that we've actually elected. Imagine the difference in that. 70% of respondents are saying they like that he's keeping his promises. He is more popular now than he's ever been.
Owning the culture, too.
That is how you own the culture. You own the W. That's how he keeps winning. And he has people having to argue on the 20% side, which is awesome. Every issue, he's like, I'm on the 80% side. You go ahead and explain how, and I saw the meme over the weekend, Donald Trump, we've cured cancer, Democrats. We need our cancer to kill us. What are you doing, Trump?
That's right. Or we need it to make a whole lot of money. That's my own hypothesis, but that's a different story altogether. I love the fact that Donald Trump, on his way to the Super Bowl, he was greeted by the Gulf of America.
Yes, he was. Take a listen to this audio. So this is going to be from Air Force One. Huh. They're flying. They're probably about 2 hours from kickoff. And so they're flying out over the Gulf of America. They're going to come in for the landing in New Orleans. And the speaker you're going to hear go off, and it's the pilot. And he's letting you know as to what they're now flying over as Donald Trump is signing another executive order.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you could please direct your attention out the right side of the aircraft. Air Force One is currently in international waters, for the first time in history, flying over the recently renamed Gulf of America. Please enjoy the flight, and we are now about to head westbound to Super Bowl 59.
Wow, he did that well.
It's his response. Wow.
Okay, it's symbolic, right?
No, it's hysterical. Because it drives people nuts.
But it's awesome because it makes them crazy. And I don't care what you call it.
Doesn't matter.
Gulf of Tug. Yeah. It doesn't change the fact that it's still what it is.
Yeah, right. It's still
But the idea that you're saying, on our shores, it's the Gulf of America.
That's exactly right.
It's a mentality. It's changing. Well, it's changing this idea that somehow we're undeserving of this stuff.
Yeah, that's a great point.
We have spilt more blood and treasure in the interest of security and freedom around the world than any other country. So what's the problem with us being able to say, let's take our lion's share? Like in Ukraine, the idea that we are going to be able to have access to their billions and trillions of dollars of precious minerals, like, well, yeah, because we paid for your defense. When everybody else was saying, well, I'm not sure if it was like we were the ones that did it. so we get the lion's share.
Yeah, the Europeans who you're in their backyard, they didn't cough it up.
They didn't do. They were sending helmets.
Yeah, 5,000 Germany. That was their original shipment, was 5,000 used helmets.
So if we want to call something the Gulf of America, what, is Mexico going to complain?
Well, but here's the other thing, is that it's just going to keep the people that want to derail Trump and what he's doing off guard. It keeps them focused on the wrong things.
If they spend 10 minutes arguing on network television about the Gulf of America, that's 10 minutes that they've wasted.
And not focused on actually helping stop Donald Trump.
We'll have some different ideas. That's all.
But for sure, they don't. And they won't. So it'll continue. They'll continue to lose, which is, look, it's good for us. I wouldn't dare have them switch over. I want them to stay right where they are. Elon is not elected, cries the left. And the Trump White House chief of staff, well, he shuts down that argument pretty quick. Can't wait to let you hear that. Next on Extra 106.3 Tug and Los until 10 on the Morning Extra.
The Kimmer Show is only live on Extra 106.3 every weekday afternoon on your drive home.
I have it on good authority that Flounder and Veronica thought long and hard for about 15 seconds to have you officiate.
I could have done 20. I could have done it. If the guy backs out, I can still do it.
It'll be our backup.
You'll have two backups there.
The Kimmer Show, every afternoon from 3 to 6 p.m. on Extra 106.3 and the Extra app.
I hear there's another little cold front coming through, which is never good. I'm never a fan of that. And then tomorrow and Wednesday, even Thursday, looks like it's going to be raining all week long. What does that mean? Well, you better pack an umbrella. Maybe put on your duck boots versus your regular shoes. That way you don't get all wet and soaking wet and whatever. But what are you going to do to protect your house? That's the bigger question. What you need to do is call Southern Exteriors. If you have concerns about something happening with your roof that protects the biggest investment you have, the most valuable asset you have, your home, then call Southern Exteriors. If it's just a small repair, they can take care of it. If it is a full roof replacement, they can take care of that too. The siding is such an important thing that gets looked over so often. Mainly, people talk about the roof, especially when it rains, but they forget to bring up the siding. Not at Southern Exteriors. They focus on that too. Gutters, to route the water away from your home, they focus on that. They can do that. Maybe something doesn't matter about when it comes to rain at all, like doors and windows. Those are just fine. But if you want nicer doors, you want more energy-efficient doors and windows, Southern Exteriors can handle it. And right now, whatever job you choose to do, they'll give you 10% off, or you can go with 12 months, 0% financing. Anything to do with the outside of your home, Southern Exteriors takes care of it for you, and they do it with the ultimate professionalism. Let me tell you, as a guy that's dealt with contractors in the last 6 months, inside my home, and it was a disaster. It was terrible. Call Southern Exteriors. That way you don't have to deal with this. They have a foreman on site. They can answer questions about anything that you are concerned with. They'll point you down the right path. 877-9-SOUTHERN, southernexteriors.co. It's southernexteriors.co.
This is Bruce Hagan, the people's lawyer. When I started my firm, it was with the idea of providing personal representation for personal injury cases. We treat everybody like family, and it makes me so proud to work with my son to provide a great family-oriented law firm.
This is Matt Hagan. As a father-son team, we know the importance of working together to get our clients back on their feet. Let us here at Hagan Law be your advocates. You can find everything you need to know at hagan-law.com.
hagan-law.com.
True Prep on Cobb Parkway is your one-stop shop for emergency preparedness supplies, including freeze-dried food, water filtration, first aid, and more. They also have a large selection of firearms, including a huge selection of AR-15s, firearm accessories, and ammo at the lowest prices around. They're locally owned and operated, and you can visit their store in Marietta on Cobb Parkway or online at trueprep.com. That's truprep.com. Prepare today for a worry-free tomorrow at True Prep.
Neil Borch here. Maybe you've already taken the steps to improve your health, maybe save your life. You're using a CPAP for your sleep apnea. I've been using one for well over 20 years. So right now, I'm here to tell you about a source for CPAPs and CPAP supplies here in the Atlanta area. CPAPs, etc. They're in Alpharetta. They have whatever you need. Roddy and Sharon are your CPAP experts, and they'll ship nationwide. More information, cpapsetc.com. 680thefan.com.
Media Minute with Howard Kurtz.
President Trump will comment on just about anything when the New York Post asked him about Prince Harry, who some folks want to kick out of the country, allegation of not being clear about past drug use. President said he wouldn't be a part of that. Then he said he's got enough problems with his wife. She's terrible. Couldn't resist taking a shot at Meghan Markle. Meanwhile, for all the policy battles he's involved in, Trump has fired all of the people who are on the board of the Kennedy Center and named himself the chairman. Now, this is about giving a finger to the establishment. He also said he didn't like the fact there had been a couple of drag shows at what is the premier Washington venue for concerts and opera and plays. Well, now Trump is in charge of that, too. This is him wanting to get back with the culture wars. With your Media Minute, Howie Kurtz, Fox News.
The stories that matter to you. These are your Georgia headlines.
Good morning. These are your headlines for Monday, February 10th, 2025. DOGE, the federal budget slashing initiative led by billionaire Elon Musk, will hold its first legislative hearing this week with a panel that's going to be represented by U.S. Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene of Georgia, set to probe improper payments and fraud. Greene told Politically Georgia that her subcommittee of the Department of Government Efficiency will not target Social Security or Medicare benefits. This is going down on Wednesday. Funeral arrangements have been announced for a Roswell police officer killed in the line of duty last Friday. A public visitation for 24-year-old officer Jeremy Labonte will be held on Tuesday, February 11th from 3 to 6 at the Roswell United Methodist Church. Labonte was killed when he responded to a suspicious persons call on February 7, 2025. 23-year-old Edward Espinoza remains in prison. The Philadelphia Eagles are world champions after beating the Kansas City Chiefs in Super Bowl 59, 40-22. Your MVP is Jalen Hurts, quarterback of the Philadelphia Eagles. For your headlines, I'm Carlos Medina.
Tug and Los, 8 o'clock hours, brought to you by Central Heating and Air Conditioning, your Atlanta Carrier experts. They're doing the winter white sale right now. $2,000 off Carrier equipment, the best in the business, working with the best of the business at Central Heating and Air Conditioning. 770-GET-HEAT. CentralHeat.com is their website. Not one time have I seen any of the Democrats who are screaming to the top of their lungs about the misuse of tax dollars. I've not seen them talk about that. I've only seen them saying we have to shut Elon Musk down. We have to stop him from dismantling all of these systems. Not once have they brought up the fraud, waste, and abuse. Not once.
So I tweeted this over the weekend, and I believe it to be very true. I said, one of these days I'm going to look at my grandchildren and tell them, after America killed JFK and lost its way for about 60 years, we were eventually saved by an orange man, a real-life Bruce Wayne, and Big Balls, a kid named Big Balls.
Right. Mm-hmm.
This is where we're at. Like, this is the golden age. This is the golden era.
It certainly is.
When their only complaint that the Democrats have is, well, he's not elected. It's like, do you realize how much damage you did for 4 years in this country with people that were unelected? You had a president that couldn't function.
And you're just fine with it.
And yet you're telling me about somebody who is actually working for the president and doing as he's been instructed?
Oh, my gosh.
This is great.
Yes.
This is fine. Donald Trump actually sat up in front of the media, and when they brought up the Time magazine cover, and he just kind of joked, yeah, Time still exists? Like, they're still out there? Right. Yeah, and then he continued, Elon's doing a great job.
That's exactly right. He is. And the fact that these people are only complaining that they don't get to waste your money anymore.
Yeah.
That's why they're in the 20% that Los brings up. That's why Trump's on the 80% side of it. Just talking about people who support this. And the CBS polling backs it up.
We can't have transsexual operas around the world.
How could you?
Or plays around the world featuring transsexuals.
What?
We're not spending our money on that. I have to not have Sesame Street or some version of it in Iraq.
What are the Iraqi kids going to watch?
Who knows?
That's the thing.
Mostly dirt.
Yeah. What? Hang on, what?
You just stare at dirt.
Yes, there's plenty of that. Or sand. There's plenty of sand out there. But it seems like there would be somebody going, they may be onto something here. All this waste. Maybe we shouldn't waste billions upon billions upon billions of dollars. Maybe, just maybe, we shouldn't waste all this. And we should admit that, you know what, they're probably doing a service.
Can we have a general rule here? Because we are a company, we told the story last week, that when we had the pharmaceutical companies come to our station and say, we want y'all to endorse this product, we all said no. It's like, I wasn't going to take now. The station still took some of the pharmaceutical money. You still had some of those ads that were running, but it didn't feature any one of us over on this radio station. Not one time. The people that are complaining the most are the ones that have something to lose. So when I hear somebody in the media complaining about Doge and all their cuts, eventually I'm thinking we're going to find how that piece of television coverage, magazine, whatever, is bought and paid for by the U.S. government. There's somewhere where I firmly believe that when that reporter's complaining about it is because that reporter knows I'm going to be out of a job if we have to give back $1 billion.
Well, there was maybe some sort of connection with that when they decided to put a pause on all that at USAID. And that same week, Politico was like, we're unable to make our payroll.
Sorry, can't pay y'all. What? What do you mean, Politico?
And all of a sudden, that story has just gone dark. I don't know how. Were they able to pay? I assume they were able to pay their reporters, but how did they do it? What was it connected at all? Maybe it wasn't connected at all. Maybe it was completely coincidental. But they were getting about $8 million from the federal government to operate.
New York Times, from 2020 moving forward, as we got into the Biden administration, USAID had paid them $23 million. $23 million. Now, that may not sound like a crazy number to you.
It does to me.
Most of these companies are operating at like revenue of like $10 million.
Mm-hmm.
So you had the federal government basically handling you,
propping them up,
at least a year's worth of revenue.
Just propping them up.
2 years worth of revenue.
Goodness, it's. I know in the scheme of government, but I don't think that most Americans look at the way government operates and says, "Oh, that's efficient" or "That's okay." Because $23 million to most everyday Americans seems like a lot. The average American makes about $50,000 a year. So $23 million sounds like a whole lot to them, and it sounds like a whole lot to me. So when I hear, we were getting $23 million and giving it to the New York Times, a publication that I don't trust whatsoever, I know that they are politically biased as they can possibly be and always have been. When I see our taxpayer dollars going to them, that immediately makes me furious because I know that could be used for something good. Maybe there's something beneficial that it could be used by. Or, even better, it could be given back to the American taxpayer.
Do you mean I get to keep more of my money?
That's the premise. It's a working idea,
because this is working extremely well. When I have talked about how this entire Donald Trump team, they have everything laid out. They have a battle plan. They knew exactly what they wanted to do. Are you surprised that as we start talking about this government waste, fraud, and abuse and pointing out what we are spending of your tax dollars and where it's going, that in conjunction that is going with the proposal for massive tax cuts? You want to talk about getting people on board when they go, yes, we should have massive tax cuts because you don't need my money as much as you're claiming to because look what you're spending it on. This is not accidental. This is all being done by the book. This is what happens when you give a billionaire 4 years to plan out, how am I going to go about this? And you surround him with a bunch of people that are on board and that are extremely intelligent.
No, Chris Murphy, the senator from Connecticut, he didn't talk about the fraud, waste, and abuse that we've documented here and that you're seeing all over social media and the evidence of that everywhere. You know what his quote was? Chris Murphy from Connecticut, the president is attempting to seize control of power for corrupt purposes, he says. The president wants to be able to decide how and where the money is spent so he can reward his political friends and punish his political enemies. This is an evisceration of democracy. And I step back and listen to him say that, going, what planet are you on right now? He must be on every drug. He must be on everything but roller skates because that dude is out there in left field and nobody agrees with him. And the polling shows it. We had the CBS poll from earlier.
The 20%. That's Donald Trump's magic power right now, is that he is constantly getting people to have to argue with him, and they're in the 20%. They're not in the majority. They're not in that 80%. If I was to make the argument that we need to reduce the size of government because we are, let's say, for instance, when it comes to USAID, 14,000 employees down to 290, and I believe I can run this efficiently this way, then the only reason you're complaining about those other 13,800 and so employees is, yes, you're concerned about their jobs, but you're not concerned about the fact that it was waste. 13,000 full-time employees with benefits and everything that was a waste of government money.
Give me one business that could operate.
No one can operate like that. Where it's
nobody.
I need 4 employees, but I hired 40.
It's insane. Nobody would do that.
Sorry.
Nobody.
This radio station, this radio show. Hey, we have 4 employees on this show, but we're going to add 100 next week.
What do you think?
How's that going to work?
It's going to fail. It's going to flop. You're going to bankrupt the company. It makes no sense. But if you have unlimited supplies of money from me and Los and you listening right now, if they're stealing it from you, it's an endless supply, and they have arrestability. If you do not pay your taxes, they're going to come and arrest you.
I think we're going to be able to look back at this era. If this all happens the way we believe, where we're going to shutter government, we're going to get it more efficient, we're going to tighten everything up, we're going to think about how long that the entirety of government was a system of theft. That's all. It was a system of theft, and it was paying to
legal theft, though.
Legal theft.
Which makes, I mean, it
sounds crazy
to begin with.
But they used the tax code to take your money to reward their friends, family, or themselves. They legally lifted your pocket, put their hand in it, and took your money.
What did the communists do? And you've said this so many times. They will say you're doing what it is they're actually doing.
Yes.
Where they
will accuse you of what they're actually doing.
Let me read that quote to you again from Chris Murphy of Connecticut. The president is attempting to seize control of power for corrupt purposes. The president wants to be able to decide where the money is spent so he can reward his political friends and punish his political enemies. Is that not what just happened in the last 4 years?
I think I sat through that.
It was identical. And this dude has the courage, the big balls, if you will, to say this is what President Trump is doing after he sat through it and supported it.
It's amazing they can memory hold this stuff. And it's politics. It's what it is. You're going to suddenly act like this never happened. What you did for 4 years, you're going to pretend that you never did it. Now, that's always the hypocrisy that you're going to get on the left. That's just how it is. It doesn't even help to really point it out. You just acknowledge it's always there. As long as you're doing everything by the book, then all they can do is complain. And that's it. And you're going to win.
And they will. And you're going to win.
And you're going to win.
Because the American people see the need to crack down on this finally. We've been asking for it. Voters have been asking for it for as long as I can remember, as long as I've been alive.
I want you to think about this. Conspiracy theories of 2020, 2021.
Dun, dun, dun.
When we were talking about how you have this virus that escaped from a lab in Wuhan, and we were told, well, it's just a conspiracy theory. We were told about how we had a fraudulent election with drop boxes and people that were dead and all the craziness. And no.
None of that.
Joe Biden got 81 million votes, legitimately. 16 million more than Barack Obama.
You're crazy if you don't believe.
And you're crazy. Now understand on their side, the only thing they have as their conspiracy theory is they hacked the Treasury. Right. Well, the Treasury Secretary can get any kind of data he wants. You had to go find an Obama-era judge to tell the Treasury Secretary he's not allowed access to the Treasury's own information. How silly are we? How silly are you? At least my conspiracy theories hold water and make sense. Yours are like a wing and a prayer. Maybe they hacked the Treasury so we can get rid of them. Or maybe they just access the files that they are legally allowed to.
And this is going to be overturned. Mark my words, because it's such a broad brush that even the Treasury, under this judge's ruling, even the Treasury Secretary isn't allowed to access the Treasury's information because why? In their view, in this judge's ruling, he wasn't elected.
This will be over with.
Of course it will.
So fast.
Of course it will. Stephen Miller talked about this because they've been hollering about this, Los. They've been hollering about Elon Musk. He's not elected. They over and over and over.
Neither was Jill or Hunter Biden, yet they were running things for the better part of 2.5 years.
President Trump's chief of staff.
A cokehead. Sorry, a crackhead. Cocaine's actually too nice. Somebody, I thought about that too. I'm sorry. It's hard to derail you on this. I was just thinking that it's been 3 weeks. 3 weeks of a Donald Trump administration, I've yet to see a dude with breasts in the White House. I've yet to see having a man having sex somewhere in the Senate.
There's not been any of that.
I've yet to see...
And they're moving fast. So, I mean, you think if they were going to get it done, they could get it done in 3 weeks.
I've yet to see cocaine found in the White House. Like, when are we going to pick this thing up, man?
Seriously,
we got to get things going. I haven't seen a man with implants on the White House lawn in years.
And well,
let's pick things up a bit.
Stephen Miller, who is the chief of staff for President Trump, talking about unelected because the Democrats keep yelling about Elon Musk. He's unelected.
The Democrat use of the term unelected is really quite remarkable here. Donald Trump was elected in an overwhelming landslide. These are Donald Trump staffers. In the sense, like saying that Mike Walls, the national security advisor, is unelected, or Susie Wiles, the chief of staff, is unelected, or Donald Trump's communications team is unelected. This is presidential staff that serves at the pleasure and for the president, just as I do. I am a staffer for the president of the United States. He is elected. He is the one the American people have chosen to implement his agenda. This is the agenda the American people voted for, that he is asking his staff, his subordinates, his employees to implement. The unelected power in this country is the rogue bureaucracy. USAID is unelected. The FBI, that persecuted President Trump for 8 years, is unelected. The CIA and those who have laundered intelligence to try to change the foreign policy of the United States are unelected.
There you go. He's laying it out for you. Look at all the unelected people that the Democrats never had any issue with whatsoever. You start taking away their ability to waste your money, and then all of a sudden it matters who's elected and who's not.
This is their only way of fighting this, is to say that, well, they're unelected.
That's it.
All right, well, when the FBI gets their pink slips as well, and by the way, they are the Gestapo of the left.
Yes, they are.
They are the Cheka. As those people are getting fired all in the next couple of weeks, you know what you'll be able to say? Yeah, about leaking the immigration plans and what ICE is doing. Because that was what the story was in the last 48 hours. That the reason why people knew about something going in Colorado is that the FBI leaked it in LA. The FBI's leaking about where ICE is going next. You're going to be able to just say, all of y'all's is gone.
We're going to fix that problem. We're going to fix that issue.
You should dismantle it entirely. But being that you can't, and Kash Patel has to run something.
Yeah. Okay. Although, Linda McMahon, she's being elected to run the Department of Education, which they are vowing to shut down. So maybe
Elon
fingers
said
crossed.
as of yesterday that it doesn't exist. So I'm like, okay.
Fingers crossed, maybe they'll be next. Morning Xtra, Xtra 106.3, Tug and Los until 10 when we come back. Remember when Mark Cuban sang a very different song than the one that he's singing right now? We will help you remember, if you don't, when we come back on the Morning Xtra.
The latest sports news, powered by 680 The Fan, and driven to extra listeners by RBM of Atlanta in Sandy Springs, Atlanta's Mercedes-Benz connection since 1964.
The Philadelphia Eagles dominated the Kansas City Chiefs last night 40-22 to be crowned Super Bowl 59 champions. The Eagles scored first and did not look back, scoring 34 unanswered points and holding the Chiefs to 0 points in the first half. Patrick Mahomes was rattled by the Philly D, losing a fumble and throwing 2 picks with 1 return for a touchdown. Eagles QB Jalen Hurts was named Super Bowl MVP, throwing 17 for 22 with 221 yards and 2 touchdowns. Hurts ran for 72 yards and a touchdown as well. This is the second Super Bowl victory in Philly's history, with their first coming in Super Bowl 52. For Extra 106.3 Sports, I'm Joe Virgin.
Who doesn't want a great smile? The world seems brighter because it is. Hey, it's a Kimmer. How's it going? You know, that's only one reason to see my dentist, Dr. Dina Giesler at Atlanta Smiles. The other reason, of course, is to take care of your teeth if they're going to make your life miserable. We all know that. But when's the last time you were smiling before you walked in the door like me? Because I know Dr. Dina and her staff are the happiest Kimmer babes you ever saw. We're going to fix me up, and I always take the gas. They tell me my best stories come out that way. And you can actually get a doggy right there napping in my lap, a little doggy. I said, go ahead, work away. Dr. Dina's a Navy vet, ranked a master dentist, which only 1% can say. She's been doing veneers since before anybody even knew what that was. My first visit was 30 years ago. Cosmetic dentistry, cleaning, bridges, crowns, especially keeping your teeth and gums healthy to last as long as you do. Veterans automatic 10% discount. Just tell them when you call. Atlanta Smiles, 404-262-7733. It's atlantasmiles.com. Your new smile's waiting for you. atlantasmiles.com. Tell them the Kemmer sent you. Ask for the doggy. atlantasmiles.com. FirstLibertyNotes.com.
You know the old expression, I love it when a plan comes together? Well, with our First Liberty Notes, this has been so true. Hello, I'm Brant Frost, founder of First Liberty Building and Loan. You hear about our family's company all the time right here on the station. For over 30 years, we've been the local lender who said yes when the big banks say no. A couple of months ago, we opened up our First Liberty Notes program to Main Street investors just like you, and the response has been just incredible. Folks from airline pilots to physicians to even pastors are now earning 8 to 13% interest rates while helping to fuel the growth of local small businesses. If you're a qualified investor with a minimum of $25,000, you too could be earning 8 to 13% interest. We'd love to have you join our First Liberty family today. Go to FirstLibertyGA.com and see if our First Liberty Notes are right for you. Go to FirstLibertyGA.com. That's FirstLibertyGA.com.
First Liberty Notes are not obligations of or guaranteed by any financial institution and are not secured by any collateral. They are not FDIC insured or guaranteed by any government agency. You could lose money. SEC accredited investor status must be verified. Securities not offered in any jurisdiction in which it is unlawful.
Hey, it's Mike with Atlanta Painting Company. We invite you to transform your home. Our expert team brings color to life with top quality paints and flawless finishes, and leading the industry with our color consultants. Whether it's a fresh coat of paint for one room or an entire exterior makeover, the Atlanta Painting Company has you covered. So, trust the local pros for reliable, professional service when you need to revive your home or business. Find us at AtlantaPaintingCompany.com or call us at 1-800-PAINTING. That's AtlantaPaintingCompany.com. The Atlanta Painting Company, the painters you can trust.
This is House Call for Health. With Super Bowl 59 in the books, win or lose, have you ever wondered why people care so much about their favorite teams? Well, there's a psychology behind fandoms. Dr. Edward Hurt is a psychological and brain sciences professor at Indiana University. He says that being a fan becomes such a central part of our identity that it's one of the things we feel people should know about us. Dr. Hurt also says the fact that we have this in common is something central and important enough that it creates a bond, a sort of allyship between people. Being a part of a fandom can help trigger positive feelings, giving people a sense of contributing to a team. So their success is our success. Also, feelings of disappointment, though, when your team doesn't win. But then again, there's always a next season. For more health news, go to FoxNewsHealth.com. House Call for Health. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News.
The Extra 106.3 app is your live connection to the station, streaming free across Georgia. But it's also loaded with all our original shows and podcasts. Listen to exclusive shows from Janelle King, Ben Burnett, and so many more. Grab the Extra 106.3 app now and start streaming.
You would think that a guy that shows up on Shark Tank giving people money to start businesses, and he's so careful, he's so particular, he's so meticulous about who he gives money to, that he would want to do that with your money too. I am talking about Mark Cuban, and apparently he doesn't feel that way if it's your money. Now his, he wants to take care of his, he wants to make sure it's being spent properly, but your money, nah.
I got a history with this guy, and I will very honestly tell you, I like him. And liked him for a long time until he just, the politics just moved. I mean, this was a guy that when he bought the Dallas Mavericks, they were the worst franchise through the entirety of the 90s in the NBA. They were terrible. And this guy was jeans and T-shirt, owned a bar when he went to school at Indiana. And then, you know, the joke is that he put radio on the internet, does broadcast.com. It's a joke that you get about him on the show Silicon Valley. But, you know, he would be around our radio station at the time when I worked in Dallas, and he was just interesting to talk to.
Oh, I'm sure.
Because he just had such perspective.
I only know him from Shark Tank. That's about my limited knowledge of him, right? And I always enjoyed him there because he always made sense. Like, he would make sure that all the addition worked, if you will.
And he was, at the very word of it, he was a maverick. The guy would go against David Stern, perhaps the most famous commissioner in NBA history and one of the most famous commissioners in the history of American sports. And he would tell David Stern, you're doing it wrong. This is not working out the right way. In the NBA, we have I think it's the last three, what is it, JoJo, last 3 minutes, last 5 minutes report? Anyway, what happens is in the league, you have to give a report of all the calls made at the end of the game and an explanation from the referees as to why they were made, and here's what the information was. That's because of Mark Cuban complaining that the refs needed to work at a higher standard. So he was always calling for excellence. I don't know what happened that then he was all in for Kamala Harris. I think a lot of it is his hatred of Donald Trump. That goes back to both of their days in TV, where Mark Cuban just could not get things going. He wanted to be in TV the same way.
What was his show called?
The Benefactor.
The Benefactor, yes.
And it got canceled. Whereas
I never saw an episode.
The Apprentice, if Donald Trump wanted to do The Apprentice tomorrow, NBC would can we please take you back?
Of course.
Can we do this right now?
I'll admit, I never saw an episode of The Apprentice either.
Neither did I.
I never saw either one. I just knew one worked and the other did not.
So I want to take you back to 2017. Remember, Mark Cuban, he was the guy, he got pulled off the trail during the summer. Remember when he talked about Donald Trump has never been surrounded by intelligent, smart, strong women?
Yes.
And as soon as all the women started squawking, they're like, we need to pull you off the trail. You cannot be out there talking anymore. This was back in 2017. I want you to listen to Mark Cuban, who started talking about his ideas for how to reform and fix the government.
As a libertarian, I think we can reduce employment in government by at least a third, reduce the overhead and administration by that much or more, so that we can offer more to services for our citizens. And so if when it comes down to it, where I tend to disagree with everybody, and this is the libertarian in me, I'm happy to push down the size of government, and I'm happy to work on making government more efficient, because then more money can pass through and help the people who need it. And that's what needs to change.
How does that sound?
Where's that Mark Cuban?
Where is that guy? I'm telling you.
Welcome him back. We would welcome him back.
Telling you. He was down a certain road. He was about taking out the man. He was about, you're spending my money in a crazy way. I don't want you to do it. We need to reduce the size of government. Somewhere along the lines, things changed. Leverage or something else. Something changed where now he was full-on big government Democrat. But that wasn't the Mark Cuban that I was around in Dallas when I was young working in the radio industry.
This is going to sound cliche, but I'm going to say it anyway. TDS, man. That's what it is. That's the only thing that adds.
Sometimes you just hate him so much.
It's the only thing that makes sense. You don't... If from 2017 to now, you change that much, you're like, yes, I love fraud, waste, and abuse. Smile, you know what I mean? That doesn't make sense. People don't just change who they are and what they believe on a dime. I mean, that's been less than 10 years ago.
I mean, can you think of anyone that you have such ill will towards, personal, financial, whatever it is, that no matter what they say, you would go the direct opposite?
No. There's not a soul. And let me tell you, I've got a contractor that I fired. I'd like to, I have some choice words for him. but I don't hate him to the point where if he said, hey, y'all need to do this in your bathrooms, and here's the reason why, and it made sense, that I'd be like, absolutely not. Whatever he says, set it on fire if you have to. Don't do that. Don't do what he said.
I tell you what, instead burn it down.
Yeah, that's right. That's what I'm saying. But that's essentially what Cuban's
that's the
doing.
mentality. The mentality, because I don't throw hate around a lot. I tell you, there's two things I hate. I hate terrorism, I hate cancer. Those are like the two things, absolute hate. I think Mark Cuban really hates Donald Trump.
It has to be. What else is there that you would lay down your common sense and say, no, I don't subscribe to that anymore?
Like, how would you manage to take the views and the energy that you use to make yourself into a billionaire and then completely toss it aside in the interest of big government only because big government is against Donald Trump? I mean, big government hates Donald Trump.
Yes, they do.
The swamp hates Donald Trump. So you decided
Republicans too,
because you hate him, so you're casting in with big government, even though you just gave me from 2017 a very libertarian view of how you look at government.
It's funny you bring up that whole thing about him being taken off the campaign trail because he's never surrounded by smart, intelligent, strong women. Michelle Tafoya, whom I love, she was a sideline reporter at CBS.
She used to be on NBC. She did Sunday Night Football for years, and when she left, she talked about how she was going to be able to do more things, which does include politics.
The day that Trump signed the order protecting women's sports there at the White House, she tweeted out, hey, Mark Cuban, remember that time you said Trump never stood on the same stage with strong, powerful women? ? Such a great point. And I just happened to scroll about the time you said that. I'm scrolling through X, through Twitter, and there it is. And it's so perfect because, again, Mark Cuban wrong, Donald Trump in the right. But it doesn't matter because he hates him enough that he's willing to say, no, I don't think we should protect girls and women's sports. No.
And this is what Doge and what Donald Trump and what J.D. Vance, what this whole team is advocating for. The very things, the very reduction of government that Mark Cuban brought up in that 2017 clip is exactly what's happening. You would think if there was anyone who was going to be a fan, it'd be Mark Cuban. And perhaps, because I heard this on a podcast over the weekend, the amount of Democrats, and we even heard this from Buddy Carter when he was in. By the way, he's going to be with us next month. We're going to do a full hour, which is going to be very cool.
It is going to be very cool.
We'll see what other congressmen are going to pass through during that time period. But he even pointed it out as well. More of these Democrats in private are saying, y'all are right, we're wrong.
Oh, that's right. And you're seeing
y'all got it right. We're getting it wrong.
And you're seeing it, he says, in the gym when there's no cameras around, when there's no microphones to catch the sound, to catch the audio of them admitting it. Ro Khanna, I ran across a place where he had said that I expect them to find some awful examples of government waste. And he's talking about Doge. I expect it. Well, everybody does. They all know it. They're just not willing politically to say it, even though they know it's the truth and it will benefit the people that vote for them and the people that they are representing. And it doesn't matter to them because politically it will be damaging.
They went to a $44 billion department in USAID and they found what they found. We're not even getting to the real meat and potatoes yet. That was like grabbing the salad fork and going, oh, let's see what's wrong with this thing. 0.7% of your government spending. That's what they found. Imagine, as you said, Tug, when they get to the Pentagon.
It's going to be like nothing you've ever seen before. I mean, the numbers are going to be astronomical. When we come back after a Neil Bortz report and a Fox News update, is Scott Jennings a Morning Extra listener? Reason I'll ask the question.
I feel stolen from.
That Los's ideas may be hijacked by that man.
It's time for the Bortz Report, exclusively on Atlanta's only conservative news and talk station, Extra 106.3.
No, I didn't watch the Super Bowl. I understand the Eagles won, and that's great, because I've had Travis Kelce and what's-her-name up to here. But I was interested in the commercials to see if anybody could be as clever as I was with my vacuum world where business really sucks ad and others. So I tuned in just before the game, and what do we see? They're going to sing the Black National Anthem. No, thank you. There is only one national anthem, and lift every voice and sing Ain't It. I wish it was America the Beautiful, but I don't see that happening. Then I got tricked into watching some of the end of the game. I heard that there were some Doge commercials, you know, the Department of Government Efficiency, so I tuned in to see one of those. No luck. I can't find them on YouTube, but I hope they were aired because I can just only imagine how the left will go bat guano crazy when they see those things. Donald Trump and Elon Musk are dismantling the Democrat Party's very reason for existence. Big, huge, overpowering, oppressive government. And the Democrats are filing lawsuits left and right to try to stop him. Have they introduced any legislation on their own to respond to the obvious voter demand for less government? No. They just go to judges. Stop him. Stop him from doing this. Stop him from doing that. And they're most afraid of Trump actually succeeding in getting rid of the Department of Education. That's the Democrat cash cow. The strongest labor union in America, teachers' unions, give 95% of their donations to the Democrat Party. Democrats are scared to death of losing that money. Okay, I'm going to go on a search for those Doge commercials again. Maybe they'll show up somewhere today. Neil Bortz, Extra 106.3.
Have you considered securing your family's future, protecting your hard-earned assets, navigating complex legal matters with ease? Nelson Elder Care Law is here to guide and empower you and your loved ones. As a family-owned and family-focused business, our mission is to exceed your expectations, offering absolute assurance and peace of mind. With our trademarked absolute protection trust and expertise in customized estate planning, Medicaid crisis solutions, probate administration, guardianship, and conservatorship, Nelson Elder Care Law protects what matters most to you. Imagine a team dedicated to safeguarding your legacy every step of the way. Our flat fees ensure transparency, and our customized plans prioritize your family's specific needs. Are you worried about protecting your family and your legacy after you're gone? Let us help you ensure you're absolutely protected from whatever curveballs life may throw your way. Schedule a complimentary legacy planning meeting with our legal team in Marietta or Woodstock today. Contact us at 678-250-9355 or visit at nelsoneldercarelaw.com.
You may know that ATL Turf Co. has become a leader in artificial grass design and installation services, but you may not know that ATL Turf Co. is a large artificial grass distributor. We only sell U.S.-made, premium name brand turf at factory direct pricing below wholesale. And now we're open to the public with large inventories of lawn and landscape, putting green, athletic, and pet turf on sale. Plus, all remnants are on sale for only $1 per square foot, direct from Dalton to our warehouse in Kennesaw. Visit atlturfco.com to learn more. atlturfco.com.
One of my favorite Babylon Bee headlines just now said, "Democracy falls as the man who received the most votes becomes president," ladies and gentlemen.
The Kimmer Show every afternoon from 3 to 6 p.m. on Extra 106.3 and the Extra app. WFOM and W292EV Marietta, a Dickey broadcasting station. The 9 a.m. hour is presented by Southern Exteriors. Quality and precision you can rely on.
He's bringing back something from his first time in the White House. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. Something President Trump told reporters on Air Force One he'll introduce today.
Any steel coming into the United States is going to have a 25% tariff. What about aluminum, sir? Aluminum, too.
Which could lead to retaliation from Canada and Europe as China put tariffs today on some U.S. exports in response to 10% tariffs the U.S. put on Chinese imports last week. Now, the president also talked to Fox's Brett Baer before going to the Super Bowl, reiterating his plan for the U.S. to own Gaza and rebuild the war-torn area to keep Hamas out.
We'll build beautiful communities for the 1.9 million people. We'll build beautiful communities, safe communities. Could be 5, 6, could be 2.
But many Middle East leaders oppose that, still pushing for a Palestinian state. President Trump also told Fox he'll tell Elon Musk, who runs the Department of Government Efficiency and has been looking to trim federal spending, to check out the Departments of Education and then Defense.
Go to the military. Let's check the military. We're going to find billions, hundreds of billions of dollars of fraud and abuse.
Democrats keep pushing back on Elon Musk. Congressman Maxwell Frost tells Fox.
An unelected billionaire who's a part of big tech has been given full access to our government, and there's zero oversight for it.
Some judges have ruled to limit Musk and Doge and put a hold on thousands of workers being put on leave at the U.S. Agency for International Development. We mentioned the Super Bowl. Those are Eagles fans as Philadelphia preps a parade after a 40-22 blowout win over Kansas City.
Or maybe it's throw the dagger. Hurts going deep for it all. Devontae Smith. He has got it. Touchdown.
Jalen Hurts was named Super Bowl MVP after throwing 2 TD passes and running for another score. It was a rougher game for Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes.
Anytime you lose a Super Bowl, it's the worst feeling in the world. They'll stick with you the rest of your career.
Mahomes threw 2 interceptions. One was returned for a touchdown, spoiling the Chiefs' bid to win a record 3rd straight Super Bowl. America's listening to Fox News.
Quiet down. Here she comes. Surprise! Your accountant just emailed to say your quarterly taxes are way higher than you were expecting.
At Progressive, we know small business owners don't usually like surprises because they cost you money. But a good surprise that could save you money? Getting discounts with a commercial auto quote from Progressive.
Also, your favorite employee is leaving. They're going to pursue their dream of being a veterinarian.
Surprise yourself. See if you can save in as little as 7 minutes at ProgressiveCommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Discounts not available in all states or situations.
Since 9/11, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation has been supporting America's greatest heroes and their families. Heroes who protect our communities and our country. Heroes like firefighter James Allen Dickman. While responding to an apartment fire, James perished in the blazing inferno. The cause of the fire was arson. Tunnel to Towers gave the Dickman family the gift of a mortgage-free home. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at T2T.org. Your gift will be a true life changer for families just like the Dickmans. Thank you.
You're right, and so are we. Welcome to Extra 106.3.
We showed up to work today. Good morning, it's Tug, along with my buddy Los. We got Chris on the board, and we got Captain Goey Virgin River running around producing this morning show. We all showed up to work this morning, though we watched the Super Bowl. However, 22.6 million Americans miss work today. It beats the previous record from last year. 2 years ago in 2023, when 18.8 million people missed the day after the Super Bowl. We got here, and I bet you're going to work too, because you can say, oh, man, I'm going to go have a good time. Maybe I'll have a beer. Maybe I'll have 2, but I'm not going to have 22 because I got to work tomorrow. It's just all about common sense. And that goes hand in hand with the return of common sense to the United States of America. It only makes sense.
I was 21 years old when my dad took me to Las Vegas for my birthday. Stayed at New York, and it was a Subway series with the Mets and Yankees, so you can figure all that one out.
Yeah.
And he told me as we're having some drinks, he goes, well, there's only one rule. I was like, okay, what's the rule? He's like, man enough to drink, man enough to show up to work the next morning.
Amen.
So even if you do go for the 22, they'll still got to show up.
Yes, that's right.
You got to make it in work.
Yeah, that's right. You got to get it done. And that's what's happening in Washington, D.C. I don't know that I've ever said that one time in my whole life, that work is getting done in Washington, D.C. It's a new perspective. It's a new world. It's Trump's America, Los.
Yes, it is in Trump's America. In Trump's America, things get done. And the magic power of Trump is managing to always be on the 80% side of all these issues. I talked about it last week, the 80-20. I said a lot of things are 70-30, but some things are 80-20. And part of that was because when Trump signed his executive order banning men from taking part in women's sports, transsexual women, as they like to refer to them as, no, these are biological men. That was an 80-20 rule. That was an 80-20, where 80% of the country does not believe that biological males should be taking part in women's sports. 20% does, because they're nuts. All right, I want you to take a listen. This is Scott Jennings from CNN.
Currently the dumbest strategy in politics, which is Democrats taking the 20% side of every 80-20 issue in America. USAID, people want this pared down. They want it streamlined. They want to know where the money is going. Democrats have a meltdown. Today, Donald Trump signs executive order on keeping boys out of girls' sports. Democrats take the 20 side of that issue as well. All these issues, this is like Trump's superpower, finding a bunch of 80-20 issues, getting on the 80, and everybody who's sort of reflexively against him gets on the 20. And now the Democratic Party has like a 31% approval rating. This is why.
It's
totally
so simple.
Totally stolen.
Well,
that's
yes.
fine. I'm just glad that Scott Jennings,
at least somebody good picked it up,
is looking at this the exact same. Because when I brought it up, I was saying how rare it is to have something that's 80-20, and that when it came to the signing of that executive order, that was an 80-20, and that Donald Trump keeps finding himself on the sides of 80s, not 20s.
And that continued to be reflected in the polling when people asked about Donald Trump and the job he's doing. It'll be a theme that you'll hear throughout the day, and we've talked about it a bunch, is that CBS polling that has shown 70% of Americans believe Donald Trump is delivering on what he campaigned on, which has never happened before. This is unusual. To strip it down to bare bones, this is not what we've been taught to expect out of Washington, D.C., that they will do the job that they're there to accomplish. Now, there's plenty of people up there that don't want to. Those are the ones screaming really loud about stripping things away, which also is an 80-20 endeavor the American people support.
Caitlin Collins of CNN, the evening anchor, she was a guest on one of those late night talk shows, and she brought up how journalists weren't challenged during the Biden administration because they didn't have to worry about weekends, because they didn't work on weekends. And they didn't have to really worry about after 4 o'clock because Joe was asleep. There wasn't anything that was really going to break or occur. Imagine how much more you have the Trump administration having these people on their toes. Like, they had 4 years of relaxation time. They can put their feet up and be like, we're good. Everything's fine.
No wonder they're pissed.
Yeah. No wonder everyone's being pushed to a level. They're like, well, this is what it's like again? Yes. This is what it's like with a hyper-aggressive group.
Again, though, I don't remember it ever being that way. Do you?
Not like this.
Even in Trump's first administration, it wasn't anything like this.
I reference Glenn Beck. You can hear him 10 to noon every day, every weekday on this radio station with Extra 106.3. And Glenn Beck had a meeting with Donald Trump. He's gotten to know him. He told him, you have 2 years to get this stuff done. And Donald Trump flat out told him, 2 years? I have 100 days.
Right.
It's like, we're going to be pushing this thing so fast. We're going to have so much going on that in the first 100 days, we have to be pointed back in the right direction.
But how awesome is it to know that you have a president that wants to accomplish that. Joe Biden could have done this too. Well, I missed it wrong. No, he couldn't have.
Joe Biden signed 20 executive orders. Oh, that, by the way,
he never even knew what he was signing. That's my point.
That was another part that it was the Sean Ryan podcast. I've referenced it a couple times today with Lindy Lee, who is a person who was raising funds for the Democrat Party, raised tens of millions of dollars in the interest of reelecting Joe Biden and then Kamala Harris. She pointed out that there were times where he was signing executive orders, and the next day you would ask him about it, and he didn't know.
He had no idea. He had no idea. So I guess I could restate that. Whoever was running the Biden administration, the people, unelected people around him.
Oh, unelected people?
Yeah, that's right.
Whoa.
Like his wife, like his chief of staff.
Like his son.
Like his son. Like Barack Obama, I'm sure, had a hand in all of it, too. Who had been elected before, but certainly not elected to run anything in the Biden administration. They didn't complain about it then. But my point is, Donald Trump closed up the border. He is in the crossings are down like 97% or 94%, whatever. It's a huge number. And he didn't need one law. All he needed to do was say, we're going to go down there and enforce the border.
You mean enforce the policies that were already on the books?
That's exactly what we're going to do.
Enforce the laws that were already part and written and taken care of. You didn't need one extra ounce of power. Remember when Joe Biden told us, just give me the power, I just don't have the power. So he wanted you to pass a border bill that was basically an expansion of government.
That's exactly right. He could have done it, or the people around him could have done it. Obviously, he couldn't do anything. But the point is, if they wanted to enforce that border, they could have. They chose not to. Everything that they did or didn't do was by choice. They chose to use lawfare. They chose to shred the Constitution. They chose to allow the borders to stay open. And now Donald Trump is choosing to do something about it. And the American people are firmly in his camp. You've seen it from veterans. You've seen it from minority groups. You've seen it from young people. The tech folks in Silicon Valley, they're in Trump's camp. The culture, popular culture, has never been a friend to the Republican Party or conservatives. All of a sudden, they are. Donald Trump, huge ovation at the Super Bowl. I mean, gigantic ovation. When would you think that would happen for a Republican? Because I don't know that I ever thought it would happen.
No, we've never had a sitting president attend a Super Bowl.
For that reason.
And because you wonder about what the optics are. That man walked in there knowing, I am going to get the love that I'm expecting. Now, let's remind the audience. You had murderers and rapists and criminals all over the country. We knew where they were, and yet the Biden administration didn't do anything about them. ICE, here's one of the latest tweets that they had. This from 12 hours ago. Carlos Alberto Sosa Horeña. It lists like we're getting rid of the worst first. This person was found in Washington. Crime, rape. How about Darren Burton? Crime, intent to distribute cocaine.
Well, but tell them where Darren was from, though.
Oh, Atlanta.
Or at least not from, but
found him, arrested, detained here in Atlanta. How about over in Baltimore? Victor Amaya Luis. Crimes, assault, child sexual abuse.
Those are the people that are screaming and hollering about immigration.
Yeah. The worst first. You got to go. This is why he's so popular. This is another 80-20 issue. There's no one, even The View, even the cackling hens on The View, when they talk about immigration, they acknowledge, well, we've got to go after the criminals. We got to get the criminals out.
And we are.
But yet, that's their complaint is, look what they're doing, and they're going after these people. All right, tell me why that Victor Amaya Luis, assault and child sexual abuse, should be here.
He shouldn't.
No.
There's not, find me one American that's going, yep, that I don't want those people deported. I bet you won't find one. 404-741-1230. If you want to call up and be the one that says, no, I don't want those people removed from my country, I'd love for them to remain in my neighborhoods.
Wilmer Giovanni Fuentes Benitez, a citizen of Honduras. He's been deported 3 times previously. He's also been arrested for resisting arrest by flight, resisting police by force, or violence and battery of a police officer. Arrested him just a few days ago, actually 2 days ago, in Philadelphia.
It's crazy, man. It's absolutely crazy.
That's an 80-20 issue.
Absolutely.
That's what Scott Jennings talks about. That's why Donald Trump is so freaking popular right now within the culture.
And it was funny to see Chiefs players going over to Donald Trump and shaking his hand. Like Chris Jones searched him out. Literally searched him out, and you saw him. He was tracking the president down, just wanted to go shake his hand. At the CJ Pearson tweets out, we went from players kneeling during the national anthem at the Super Bowl to see them visibly emotional during and standing alongside President Trump. We didn't just win the election in November. We won the culture war.
Not lying.
He's dead on.
It's dead on.
And everything that we've talked about is so clear that's why the polling numbers from CBS, and I guarantee you they didn't want to put them out, and I'm a little bit surprised that they did. They put out that the overwhelming job that Donald Trump is doing, 53% approve. Now, you can break out the numbers, and the approval goes up exponentially. But still, at 53% overall approval among all Americans is better than anything that he had in his first term.
And the part when it comes to that poll that you need to really celebrate, it's the youth vote. He is so far ahead in the youth vote versus where any president, especially a Republican president, has been over the last 30, 40 years. He's a plus 10. The youth of America are going more conservative, or at the very worst, they're recognizing that the other side does not share their belief system, that it's so out of whack. This is the great part about this golden age. Who is on the horizon that's going to be able to capture the excitement of the left? Because right now, you have a woman in Kamala Harris who she's debating, do I run for governor in California or do I run for president in 2028? Because if America just gets to know me a little bit better, they'll vote me in.
I think we know her well enough. And the results, both times, less than 1% dropped out before you even got to pass the primary. After the first primary,
she never made it to Iowa.
Yeah.
She never made it to Iowa.
She'd already dropped out. And then she gets walloped in a general election when she was installed. I think everybody has a good idea of what they feel about Kamala Harris.
And yet the Democrats consider her the front runner for 2028. This is the golden age, people. We've won on almost every front. Enjoy the fact that we're winning everywhere.
Because we've been there before.
Yes.
We've been in that position before.
Yeah, we've been in the position where you don't know when you're ever going to win another election.
I'm glad. Dude, I'm glad.
And by the way,
so it is so good.
Another great aspect of this, having pride in your country, celebrating your country, celebrating what it means to be an American, that should never be unpopular, but it was. It happened, and it was our tax dollars that was helping reinforce it.
Embarrassing. That's embarrassing to me.
Yes.
The fact that we even went through that time, talking about the lowest of the lows, that's what it was.
But we need to earn that as well. We need, if we're going to hold ourselves up to this highest standard, then we need to clean up our acts.
Absolutely we do.
And
we should be holding Donald Trump and everybody in his administration to the highest of standards.
And that is where, I think this is where we have the chance, where we talk about that golden age. Because if you're telling me that you've gotten me out of foreign wars, you've gotten me out of foreign conflicts, you're no longer using my tax dollars to try and influence elections around the world, you're no longer meddling with other countries, yes, you are going to have a policy that's always going to be advantageous to the United States. We should.
And I want that.
But we should also stop messing around with other people and creating these crazy vacuums. The only reason why there's war in Ukraine right now is because of what we did back in 2014. We destabilized it. We created the coup. We caused the issue there.
Through USAID.
Yes.
And now we know that. Now it's all out in the
all
open.
laid out. How long did we tell people about this? For the longest amount of time.
As I remember.
We sided with their Nazi portion of their party because we felt like they'd be more anti-Russian than the current group that wanted actually a peace deal with Russia.
Robbie,
so we shouldn't be involved in these things. We have to have a higher standard.
Robbie's in Canton at 404-741-1230. Robbie, what's on your mind, bud?
Morning, guys. My kid, they play in a band. I carry them all these bars all the time. The band Wallesca, but do play up there in the good old days. I'd love to see y'all come out and
all right, yeah. Hey,
what is it? The band Wallesca? Is that what you said?
Yes. Sir.
I've heard of this band, and I hear they're fantastic. I can't wait to see them play.
They're a good bunch of kids, and it's a long story, but I don't have time to tell you this. But anyway, it's pretty cool that now the kids are going crazy over Hank Williams Jr. Dinosaur, and they sing every word to it. And it's these teenagers at all these places, and I'm thrilled to death. I think I'm living in the 80s again. It's amazing.
It's a time machine. I love it.
They're conservative. I mean, it's just, and they're singing these songs word for word for word. I'm like, dang, when did this change? It's great. It is great.
It is. We are in the golden age, Robbie. Thank you so much, and much love to the band Waleska. Where are they playing, Los? You got their page pulled up. Where are they playing? Anywhere around here soon so we can go see them?
Let's see. We don't have any dates that are listed as of right now. The last show was in Chattanooga, but yeah, I'll get some when I get some dates. I'll get some dates. Yeah.
Absolutely, and it's good to have Robbie on the phone and him to see exactly what Los and I are seeing. I'm seeing it with my son, who's a sophomore in college, probably about some of the ages of the folks in the band Waleska that Robbie is celebrating. And Los, I'm sure you're seeing it with, well, I don't know. Are your kids paying attention as much?
Girls are a little bit different.
Yeah,
you know what they have noticed, though?
What's that?
Donald Trump being cool to them.
Okay, in what way?
Just that it's iconic. It's just somebody who's considered, in part because of the assassination attempt, in part because he's kind of brash, but he's looked at as you hear from Bella whenever she joins us. She says it's very Trumpy.
And she calls him Donnie T.
Donnie T, and he's very Trumpy, or that's very Trumpy. It's like, it's very forward.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, I love it. I think it's fantastic, and I love hearing, if you got kids that are doing the same thing, that are becoming more conservative because of the crap they've been subjected to for the last 15, 20 years, gosh, we love hearing about it. 404-741-1230. Thank you, Robbie. Over in Canton, Georgia, listening to the Morning Xtra. When we come back, the boys from Doge and the president are out working everybody. Evidence of it and conversation about it. Next on the Morning Xtra, we got headlines coming your way, too. The 9 o'clock hour is brought to you by Southern Exteriors, your home exterior solution since 1999. If you choose a job, windows, doors, siding, roof, gutters, whatever, if you choose a job, they'll give you 10% off of any job, no matter how big. Or you can get 0% financing for 12 months on the job that you do. SouthernExteriors.co and 8779 Southern. This is the Morning Xtra.
Hey, it's Flounder, and The Kimmer Show is live every afternoon from 3 to 6 p.m.
Ty tweeted, "I'd rather not entrust space travel to a guy who does a Nazi salute." To which EB responded by tweeting a pic of NASA rocket scientist Werner von Braun standing in front of models of his Saturn rockets with the caption, "Boy, do I have news for you."
An actual Nazi.
The Kimmer Show, every afternoon from 3 to 6 p.m. on Extra 106.3 and the Extra app.
Good morning, it's Front Office Los. Let's talk about Ventrac and Howard Brothers. Not everyone, I get it, has a need for a tractor. But for those of you lawn care professionals or those of you with a whole lot of yard, whole lot of land, well, a Ventrac might suit your needs. That's where you have to head on over to Howard Brothers. Ventrac is that ultimate versatile, compact tractor. The machine has multiple attachment options. It conquers the steep slopes you might have to deal with. It handles heavy brush you might have to deal with, mowing, much, much more. Ventrac is absolutely your all-season solutions when you got a whole lot of land and you need a whole lot of versatile equipment to take care of it. Visit Howard Brothers or go to howardbrothers.com and see how Ventrac can handle your projects with ease.
Why shop for Valentine's Day at D. Geller & Son Jewelers? Because you don't want to end up like shouldn't have case number 605.
Happy Valentine's Day, honey.
Ooh, what's in the box?
Just a little something I got for you. You want to open it?
Okay. What is this?
It's a meal kit. I thought you could make us a good dinner. They say if you hurry, you can have it on the table in 30 minutes. Now, if you'll watch out, I'll light the stove for you.
Oh, babe. You shouldn't have.
High heat and high pressure make diamonds. They shouldn't make dinner. This Valentine's Day, give a treasure, not a chore, with a beautiful piece of jewelry from D. Geller & Son, like diamond hoops starting at $875, tennis bracelets starting at $15.15, and diamond studs starting at just $190. Save up to 20% with our Valentine's gift guide, or go big and get 0% APR financing for 5 years. Take the risk out of shopping this Valentine's Day at D. Geller & Son. Serving romance, not recipes, since 1939. In Kennesaw, Sandy Springs, and online at dgeller.com.
Central Heating and Air Conditioning would like to thank you for trusting them with your heating and air conditioning and home performance needs by throwing the 28th annual Winter White Sale going on right now through the end of February. And you can save up to $2,000 because with carrier rebates, the best in the business, working with the best in the business at Central, you're guaranteed to get the best deals possible. And why is Central Heating and Air Conditioning the best? Well, they're one of the few locally owned HVAC companies in Atlanta. With Central, you're not just a number, you're a member of the family. It's been that way since 1947, and it's still that way today. Central Heating and Air Conditioning can fix what ails your house health and possibly your family's health with home ventilation and air quality products. Central has packages designed around health using variable speeds, fresh air ventilation, air cleaners, air purifiers, dehumidifiers, and more. Central Heating and Air's 28th annual Winter White Sale goes through the end of February, so check them out online at centralheat.com or call them at 770-GET-HEAT and turn to your Atlanta carrier experts.
We're smart, we care. We're Central Heating and Air.
Are you seeing your dog slow down or having health issues and wonder, how can I make him feel better? That's where we are with Uno, and it just breaks our hearts. But the solution is actually pretty easy. Add Rough Greens to your dog's food for 90 days, and you'll see changes that will really amaze you. Rough Greens wants to invite you to give your dog the Rough Greens 90-day challenge. In the first 30 days, this is what you're going to see: a shinier coat and increased energy. By day 60, your dog's going to have a stronger immune system, less shedding, and improved joint function, all due to the live nutrients that you've added to their diet. And at 90 days, better digestion, reduced inflammation, improved heart health, and you might even have reduced their cancer risk. Fetch a free Jumpstart trial bag for your dog today. Go to roughgreens.com. Use the promo code BECK. That's RUFFgreens.com, promo code BECK, and you just cover the shipping. You don't have to change your dog's food to improve your dog's health. Just add a scoop of Rough Greens.
You have enough to deal with after an accident. You don't want to spend a lot of that time messing around with insurance companies. Besides, what are you going to say to him? You really know the ins and outs? David Van Sant at Van Sant Law does. He used to work for the insurance companies. Their worst nightmare. He knows who to call, what to say, how to listen to him, and he has your best interest at heart. Van Sant Law, 855-GA-INJURY. VanSantLaw.com, 855-GA-INJURY.
The stories that matter to you. These are your Georgia headlines.
Good morning. These are your headlines for Monday, February 10th, 2025. DOGE, the federal budget slashing initiative led by billionaire Elon Musk, will hold its first legislative hearing this week with a panel that's going to be represented by U.S. Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene of Georgia, set to probe improper payments and fraud. Greene told Politically Georgia that her subcommittee of the Department of Government Efficiency will not target Social Security or Medicare benefits. This is going down on Wednesday. Funeral arrangements have been announced for a Roswell police officer killed in the line of duty last Friday. A public visitation for 24-year-old officer Jeremy Labonte will be held on Tuesday, February 11th from 3 to 6 at the Roswell United Methodist Church. Labonte was killed when he responded to a suspicious persons call on February 7, 2025. 23-year-old Edward Espinoza remains in prison. The Philadelphia Eagles are world champions after beating the Kansas City Chiefs in Super Bowl 59, 40-22. Your MVP is Jalen Hurts, quarterback of the Philadelphia Eagles. For your headlines, I'm Carlos Medina.
9 o'clock hours brought to you by Southern Exteriors, your home exterior solution since 1999, based in Jackson, Georgia, serving all of Metro Atlanta since 1999. So they've got experience. They've been doing it a while, and they'll give you 10% off any job you choose for the exterior of your home: windows, doors, siding, gutters, roof, the whole 9 yards. You need a deck built, they'll build it. If you need a deck screened in, they'll screen it in. 8779 Southern, southernexteriors.co.
And if you call them the boy band, they'll wink at you.
They absolutely will. And maybe even bring you a T-shirt. I don't know.
I don't want to promise too much.
No, you don't. You can't.
But there's quality people that do quality work.
If they still have their boy band style T-shirts, but they'll give you one. If they have it, because those things, I mean, they're in demand. They fly off the shelf anytime they get them.
Because you know what happens? Teenage girls become grown women, and they help make decisions on what they want for that home.
Yes.
When a boy band shows up to get your stuff taken care of,
tell me why
they do a really great job, and that's why you get the reputation of being excellent to work with.
That's right. Lance, Mike, and Jason, just the whole Noah. Don't forget Noah. All of them are in there. It's the whole the whole band. I mean,
because there's always the one guy that he's a little bit.
That'd be Noah. He's mysterious.
Yeah. Exactly.
Jason's out front.
Not really sure what he's all about.
Jason's like the Justin Timberlake of the Southern Exterior.
Yeah, he's the lead, and then there's always going to be that Noah where you're not really sure if you like him just yet.
But once you
get to know him, you're like, what a man of mystery.
Love that dude. Love him. And then there's Big Mike that takes care of everything. He's just this big mountain of a man who can get anything you need done. And I don't know where that applies in the boy band, but maybe like Danny from New Kids on the Block. That'd be my only comparison, I guess.
I still remember we had a charity baseball tournament or a charity baseball game that was.
Lance is the very shy one, by the way.
Oh, okay, yeah. He just doesn't want to put himself out there quite a bit.
Very shy.
But we had in that game, and it'd been probably like 3 years removed from NSYNC being its thing. But it was Chris Kirkpatrick that was playing in the game. And I remember just looking at him thinking to myself, that dude was like on stage with like hundreds of thousands of people. And now like 2 or 3 years later, now that Justin Timberlake's doing his own thing and there's not really an NSYNC, I'm like, and now he's at a charity softball game. It's like, happens pretty fast, don't it?
It does, man. That's the thing.
Nice guy, though.
Yeah,
very nice guy.
But that happens more often than not. I mean, when you're at the top of the mountain, very few people stay there for an incredible amount of time. It just doesn't work that way. It's just like with sports. You'll have a guy that's there and he's the hottest thing ever, and then a few years later, you're like, what happened to that dude? It just doesn't last. I mean, fame is fleeting.
So there was somebody else. If you remember Taylor Hicks from American Idol. From American Idol.
Salt and pepper hair?
Yes. Salt and pepper hair. Hell of a voice on him.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember I turned on the TV. I'm in Huntsville, Alabama, over at my in-laws' house. I turn it on. I'm flipping through channels. I'm trying to get to some game, and they had one of those, when they have the local commercial, give you like the local 1 minute, 30 seconds. Yeah. Suddenly you hear, "Hey, this is Taylor Hicks for Lake Gunnersville. Come out and check out some of our lake properties." And in my mind, I'm going, like 3 years ago, you were on tour in front of all these arenas for American Idol, and now you're pimping Lake Gunnersville property.
But I think he still tours.
I'm sure he probably
pretty
does.
Sure he does.
Soul Patrol.
It's a little NIL deal that he's got with Lake Gunnersville over there. He knows how to make some money, man. He's not crazy.
No, I know. I just want to look into what it was. Just interesting how quickly that happened.
Absolutely, dude.
Like you're going to find me and Tug doing a show in Gainesville, Florida in like 2 years from now.
Well, gosh.
We're somewhere small. Okay. Tug and I are going to be in Valdosta, Georgia. We'll be in Valdosta's morning show, and you'll be like, man, these guys used to work in Atlanta. Now they're in Valdosta.
It's Valdosta's morning news.
And you know what? Valdosta, their program director is going to be like, you're lucky to be in Valdosta.
That's right. And he'll probably be right.
Yeah.
So good.
Because you never know. The way down, man.
Although
it can be tough.
Although you're right, it does. Working in music radio as long as I have, you can always get the artist on the way up, never at the top of their game, and on the way back down, because they need you to get to the top.
Yep.
And then on the way back down, they're like, "Hey, you remember me?" That's just the way it works.
I'll come hang out.
Yeah, I don't take offense to it. It's just the mechanism. It's just the way it works. And when they're at the top of the game, if they see you and they recognize you from their way up, they'll just be the same as they've always been. But they have 50 people around them saying no and keeping you away because everybody was like, "Oh, I remember them. I helped them get to where they are." It's always that. So, and then on the way back down, when they don't have those 50 people around them anymore, it's just like, "Hey, can I swing by the radio station?"
Angela Morbido still, like, she answers our text messages.
For now.
There will come a time where Angela will be like, "Hey, new phone, who dis?"
I'm back in the administration. I'm sorry, I don't have time for you boys there in Atlanta. We love you, but we've got bigger fish to fry.
Kelvin King, when he's Senator King one of these days.
Or Governor King.
Yes, we're going to say, "Hey, can we?" And he'll be like, "Guys, I'm a little busy right now.
Love y'all." And hopefully Janelle will still hang with us.
Janelle will not ostracize us.
Hopefully, because Kelvin's going to be so busy, in his new role, that he's going to have to find somebody to run his construction company. Is called Osprey. He'll have to find somebody to run Osprey for him because he's the governor or the senator. But maybe, like you say, maybe Janelle will. She'll keep us in the Rolodex. She'll keep us in her iPhone.
They'll let us do a live show from the governor's mansion, and then after that, he'll be like, "Okay, boys, we'll see y'all later."
No, they wouldn't. They would never in a million years. They'd be like, "Get away." They'd have They'd have the GSP that blocks the gate. Be like, hey, look for this. It's a red pickup truck.
And then what's going to happen? Hey, this is Tug Cowart for Lake Gunnersville.
That's right.
Come check out our mountain properties.
No, it'll be
lake properties.
It'll be it's Tug and Los for Valdosta State University. You need a good education.
Welcome to Valdosta State Ford, where you can get a Ford right now with good credit.
Super cheap. It's great. It's the best you've ever had. Call. But the one thing I can say for us, we do work hard. I feel like we grind it out. And if you're listening at 404-741-1230, you can call and tell me if I'm wrong and you don't think we're working hard enough. Or if you'd like to heap on some praise, we'll take that too. But we do work hard. I don't know that we're going to be able to keep up with, say, Donald Trump at 78?
78.
And he is running circles around people. Now, remember, they told you that he wasn't able to keep up with Joe Biden, which, I mean, now you know why nobody trusts the mainstream media.
Was he on a scooter?
Yes, they lie to you just indiscriminately. But we work really, really hard around here. But Trump works incredibly hard, and so do these Doge kids. The people in Washington, D.C. don't know what to do with these Doge kids that are working late on Friday nights because nobody in D.C. works late ever, much less on a Friday night.
Any fun anecdotes from Doge you want to share?
I'll give you one anecdote, which is I've been working late here a number of nights at the EOB, and I won't tell you where the Doge guys are based, but I know where their office is, so I just went by there to say hi. The whole room was full of young coders. I think they were engineers, but they were wearing like suits and ties, so that's a little different, but they were all working really late. I mean, they're working there late up Friday night, and the facilities people don't know what to do because they've never had people like asked to stay late on Friday night before. So they've had to create new facilities access for these guys.
They have to new facilities access because they're working rings around everybody else that is in Washington, D.C. Now, these are the same people that the Democrats want to ostracize and get out of there because they are working hard. They're discovering waste, fraud, and abuse at a record pace. The Democrats are screaming at the top of their lungs, get them out of here. They're showing us up on all sides. That's what's happening.
It's a good thing.
Yes, sir, it is.
Imagine that you actually have people in Washington who are looking to outwork whatever the clock says, that they are hanging around hours later, that they are motivated to try and do a good job for not just Elon Musk there. Let's face it, that's the hero. He's the alpha.
Yeah, sure.
He's the alpha male in the room. But recognizing that every dollar you find that's waste, fraud, and abuse, you're actually doing a service to a regular American. There's something that's really noble and cool about that.
It's rewarding, no doubt. Feeling like you're making a difference for the positive for the first time in my lifetime in the federal government.
Well, you can walk out of that office whenever the job's done or when the day is done and feel like you really did something. Like there's every now and then. I think the only time we've ever had that feeling, there's only two times. One, just after the election was over this year because of record turnout. We did so much to talk about that, and it was pushed so much locally that when we saw record turnout and obviously things played out the way they did, I walked out of this building feeling like, okay, we did something. The only other time was after 28-3 in the Super Bowl, where I had to throw open the phone lines and just be like, let's just talk about this and get through it.
Just vent.
Yeah, I'm here to be the person that you can vent at, and let's just keep this thing moving. Maybe Snowmageddon too, because we stayed on till like 9 o'clock that night.
Yeah,
but. Can you imagine walking out of that office every single day if you're part of Doge and feeling like I did something for the American people today? I got it done.
And they're mad at me.
That's how I know I'm over the target.
That's when they're
so mad at me.
They're furious. He's unelected. But that's the thing, though. And that's why, Los, the left, the Democrat Party, is probably done for a decade. There's nothing that they're doing that they're on the side of the American people. When it comes to Doge, when it comes to eliminating waste, fraud, and abuse, protecting girls and women's sports, they're on the wrong side of everything. I can't imagine any of them being elected in the next decade.
No.
Why would that? Who would vote for that?
Why?
And the polling shows that people support Donald Trump and the things that he's doing. So what makes anybody believe that the Democrats are going to be able to crawl out of this hole?
This is going to take some time. Like, this is going to take the better part of the next decade for them to get their act together. Because right now, just as you had it last week, you talked about the top 3 things that they're viewed as representing. And what was it? Transsexualism, abortion
and environmentalism.
And environmentalism. Yeah. All right, that was their top 3 that they're viewed as.
And that's like at the very bottom of the list for everyday Americans.
Right. Like, I want clean air and clean water. I'm also not looking to, let's say, have my friends in California, their house burned down because I'm trying to protect a salamander. Like, there's trade-offs here.
Right.
Survival of the fittest, all right?
Yeah.
I'm going to protect mine before we're going to protect that. What's wrong with that?
Nothing.
And so this environmentalism, listen, clean air, clean water. I want to protect the environment. I'm also not looking to cause myself problems because I don't want to take care of the environment around me and have it set up to where I don't have to worry about it eating me up. You're going to have to fix this over a decade. Like, you're going to have to change your messaging. You're going to have to figure out a way to get young people of all things, young people back on board with you. How did you lose them and with the working class?
The problem is the days continue to tick by and they continue to not recognize the problem. So you say a decade from now, but that's actually a decade from when they figure it out, whenever that is.
There was something that I heard over the weekend. And again, this is Lindy Lee. She was on the Sean Ryan podcast. And so I watched like all 2.5 hours, whatever it was. It was long. She brought up how when Kamala Harris ended up being the person who was going to take over, that Joe Biden just kind of was like, pick Kamala. The people that moved in to help her were all Obama-era people. And they basically ran a campaign like Obama did back basically 20 years ago. So why do you think they were pushing so hard for celebrities? They never recognized that celebrity is dead in this country as far as like we care about what you think politically. Play your song, act, do your thing, entertain me. I don't want to hear about your politics.
Shut up and dribble.
That's right. That's the mentality of what's going on. And they were paying for all these people to show up and interview and endorse, and they thought that was the way to do it. They never recognized the podcast community or any of those ways that people are getting alternative information. And so they ran a campaign from 20 years ago. You got a result. Like, again, they've got to change the way fundamentally how they're presenting themselves and what they're talking about. They need to go back, it's going to sound strange, to hiding their actual intentions. Because they told you.
We've told you now and people hate it.
They told you what they were interested in. You know, one of the biggest damning things that happened? That they actually had audio, and she admitted to it of like, yeah, I'm okay with the gender transition for prisoners and paying for it with taxpayer money.
Yeah, it was part
that was
of it.
one of the
It was
biggest
an ad.
hits.
Yeah, it was
That was a monster hit. They never got back to it, and all Kamala Harris could say was, yeah, I said that.
You know that they got to get back to hiding their intentions. I know it. But do they know it? And then I hope the answer is no for a really long time. Because I want to know what they're doing and what they're trying to accomplish. I have no love for any of it. 9 o'clock hour is brought to you by Southern Exteriors, your home exterior solution since 1999. Right now, windows, doors, roofs, siding, gutters, decks, whatever you need done to the outside of your home, they can do it. And they'll give you 12 months, 0% financing, or 10% off any job you do. Call them at 8779-SOUTHERN or southernexteriors.co. When we come back, everyday Americans like what they're seeing. Next on Extra.
The latest sports news, powered by 680 The Fan, and driven to extra listeners by RBM of Atlanta in Sandy Springs, Atlanta's Mercedes-Benz connection since 1964.
The Philadelphia Eagles dominated the Kansas City Chiefs last night 40-22 to be crowned Super Bowl 59 champions. The Eagles scored first and did not look back, scoring 34 unanswered points and holding the Chiefs to 0 points in the first half. Patrick Mahomes was rattled by the Philly D, losing a fumble and throwing 2 picks with 1 return for a touchdown. Eagles QB Jalen Hurts was named Super Bowl MVP, throwing 17 for 22 with 221 yards and 2 touchdowns. Hurts ran for 72 yards and a touchdown as well. This is the second Super Bowl victory in Philly's history, with their first coming in Super Bowl 52. For Extra 106.3 Sports, I'm Joe Virgin.
Go beyond a baseball game with your Atlanta Braves and check out Truist Park's Ballpark Tour. See the ballpark like never before and explore the franchise's rich history with artifacts, exhibits, and more, led by tour guides who will take you to places behind the scenes that most fans never have seen before, including the press box, premium club spaces, and of course, step onto the field where your favorite Braves players battle it out during the season. And each tour comes with a complimentary player chain necklace. Fans will also have access access to the Braves Clubhouse starting February 17th through March 22nd. And did you know Truist Park also offers the opportunity to host birthday parties? The birthday package includes a private tour of the ballpark, birthday invitation template, special gift for the birthday child, and goodie bags for all the kids. Upgrades like a visit from the Braves mascot blooper are also available. Visit braves.com/tours to book a tour or a birthday party today.
Hi, my name is Steve from Marietta, and we hired ATL Turfco to build our dream backyard golf setup. They installed a large 4-hole putting green, a sand bunker, a short game area, and did a full conversion to artificial grass around the pool with decorative retaining walls. ATL Turfco was really creative. They were efficient. The installation was a breeze. Price was completely reasonable, and I definitely appreciated their communication throughout the project. I would definitely recommend ATL Turfco to anybody thinking about doing a backyard makeover. You can check them out online right now at atlturfco.com.
The future of business in Georgia is bright, and Georgia Power is a driving force behind the businesses and organizations that are vital to the growth of the state. Just ask Mike Plant, President and CEO of the Braves Development Company.
I think back about 2003 when I started with the Braves, and I just knew we had to create a destination that people wanted to come to year-round. We had a blank canvas, and I think we had a pretty good feel for what would be a year-round destination, mixed-use development, lifestyle center, all those. Fortunately, we have this incredible relationship long-term with Georgia Power. Right away, they saw our vision, they got our vision, they understood it, and they knew they needed to be a big part of that. So we're running our daily operation at the same time we're building this massive infrastructure and mixed-use development and the ballpark all at the same time.
To learn more about how Georgia Power is helping businesses big and small, visit georgiapower.com and tune in all year to discover how they're powering the future of Georgia.
Amazon Business offers smart business buying solutions, so you can spend more time growing your business and less time doing the admin. Learn more at amazonbusiness.com.
True Prep on Cobb Parkway is your one-stop shop for emergency preparedness supplies, including freeze-dried food, water filtration, first aid, and more. They also have a large selection of firearms, including a huge selection of AR-15s, firearm accessories, and ammo at the lowest prices around. They're locally owned and operated, and you can visit their store in Marietta on Cobb Parkway or online at trueprep.com. That's truprep.com. Prepare today for a worry-free tomorrow at True Prep.
If you're looking for a great new gig, our friends at Atlanta Peach Movers are now hiring. No experience? No problem. Training will be provided through Peach University. And if you have verifiable experience, you can score up to a $500 sign-on bonus. Contact Orlando for more information at 404-640-1300. That's 404-640-1300. And get your new career moving with Atlanta Peach Movers.
So, the doc says I have ED. ED. But you know what? At the end of the day, it's just an abbreviation for a condition so many men have. If I was to be honest, I probably also have a little OCD. I know I have a great HMO. Heck, I even have 3 weeks of PTO. Look, don't let a few letters get you down. If you have ED, there's HELP. Go see Dr. Deal at Total Body Therapy of Georgia. He's an ED specialist that will turn your life around PDQ. ED happens to a lot of men as we age. And just FYI, Dr. Deal can give you back the confidence you need to perform on the JOB. So, ready to take the first step? Quit yelling WTF at your little BFF and visit tbtofga.com. Total Body Therapy of Georgia. They can fix your ED ASAP. And before you know it, you'll be screaming OMG.
I'm getting in the game. The world won't be the same. I'm good to go.
Call 404-777-1911 or visit tbtofga.com.
Extra 106.3 is proud to be your conservative voice in Atlanta, and we offer a huge slate of original podcasts. Head over to thepodcastpark.com and grab the podcast that you love, all presented by Associated Credit Union.
The American people have spoken, and Donald Trump was elected. They wanted a different direction for the country, and they're getting it at record speeds, as we've discussed. But you're seeing it show up in the culture as well. Think about those TV commercials last night during the Super Bowl. The Jeep Super Bowl commercial with Harrison Ford. It had just a throwback, that traditional America feel to it. Where it showed Jeeps being used in wartime. And that's the reason we have them to begin with.
Yeah, it was developed during World War II for just that purpose.
Right. Such a great ad. And Harrison Ford, obviously a great person to deliver it for us, just because of who he is and how well respected he is for the most part. There was a lot of ads last night that had that traditional America vibe to it. So I loved seeing it. And I think a lot of people, when they were watching the Super Bowl, were probably drawn in by that. They were probably a little surprised like I was, but pleasantly surprised.
And if you did not catch the open, so they had the soft open, which was Lady Gaga and, honoring all the first responders and honoring the 14 that were killed in the terrorist attack there in New Orleans. Then they had the next open. And what struck me about it was typically this man for the better part of a decade has been kind of a joke, something you kind of mock. But Tom Cruise gave you Top Gun Maverick.
Yes, he did.
And so as he's doing the intro, everyone's like, that's Maverick.
Yeah, which is so cool because of the how not woke, for a better way of a way of putting it, how not woke that movie was.
Yes.
It was just that traditional America, F yeah.
Yep, we can get the impossible stuff done.
That's right.
It screams America when you watch it.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, so
I loved it.
That was the cool part about it. He goes, normally I'd be like, Tom Cruise. I was like, that's Tom Cruise, man. All right.
Right, it was such a different impression. That's
America
exactly right.
vibe. Here we go.
Love it, man. That was so many good things. And there were several. The funniest commercial was the, you had to tell me earlier, what was it? When it was when the old lady tears open her shirt.
I don't know what it was for. It's after she wins bingo. It's like the four ladies and they're getting in trouble.
It was yes. Anyway,
the four old ladies, the Bud Light commercial,
and
with
she
the cul-de-sac
flashes everybody.
party.
It's hysterical. I mean, we laughed. Everybody that was watching in the room was like, "Oh my god, did I just see what I thought it was, Joey?"
It was for WeatherTech.
There you go.
WeatherTech of all things.
Because they were in the car in the convertible, and she's like, "Don't worry, ladies, I've got WeatherTech."
That's right. And I even remember stopping and going, "Wow." WeatherTech is spending a grip of money.
Is it really successful if you give me a commercial that we're all giggling over but we can't remember
what it was?
What it was for?
The only reason I say yes these days is because you can go back.
You can go
find
back.
It. Yeah. And if you're interested enough, you will. Does that mean I'm going to buy WeatherTech? Probably not, but I know what it is.
I've wanted to for a long time.
Have you? Okay.
Because of just the damage that kids do to your car.
Yeah.
But I've never gotten around to it. But maybe now that I've seen a Super Bowl ad, that's how WeatherTech is doing it big. Right. We might have to consider doing some WeatherTech in the car.
Americans are on board with Donald Trump. We've told you about the polling, and we want you to hear them in their own words. This is a great piece of audio that I saw on social media, and it summed up what we've been saying forever. Listen to this.
Dude, this USAID thing is so much worse than people realize. Do y'all remember when people were angry at Elon Musk for buying Twitter for $40 billion? Because he could have solved world hunger with that money. Okay? Keep that same energy. Okay? We were supposed to have sent somewhere around $200 billion to Ukraine. Remember all those little packages? Well, even Zelensky says that only about half of it even got there. So there's $100 billion that's just floating around somewhere. That could have solved world hunger. But your government was so inefficient and so corrupt, and you don't even care about it? In fact, you're more mad that we stopped U.S. aid for a minute and paused it so we can figure out what the flip all of our money's going to, bro? This is not a normal response. Your reaction is being manipulated by the media. It has to be, because you would be mad under any other circumstances.
It's exactly what we've been saying the whole time, and now you're starting to see everyday Americans go, wait a minute. I'm not upset by this, and the polling reflects it. The only people I see in front of USAID complaining are the Democrats who were funneling crazy amounts of money to organizations and NGOs that they supported, and then that money seemingly being funneled right back to them. And then the media, of all people, and now we know why that the media was so angry, because they were getting a piece of it too.
A lot of pet projects that suddenly got put on hold or got canceled entirely. A lot of ways that you're able to peddle influence, that you're able to take care of your friends, and most of it, it didn't matter if they tracked it and knew exactly what it was. It was just accepted. It was just part of it. It was a slush fund piggy bank.
And you were told there ain't nothing you can do about it.
Nothing you can do about it.
Washington is unfixable.
Right. It's so filthy, so dirty. It's such a giant leviathan, but that's just how it is. You can't do anything about it. And then you do. And the only people that you hear screaming and crying about it are the ones that are going to have to find another way
Lifelong bureaucrats.
Can't get after that treasury dollar anymore. You got to find another way to get at that money.
I find no joy in people losing their jobs. I'm not saying I do. But at the same time, I find no joy in having 2.5 million workers in the federal government, the most since World War II. There's nothing good that comes of that. Do I want to see people lose their job? Unfortunately, if it takes it to shrink the federal government to get it down to a position where it actually is beneficial for Americans, then yes. Unfortunately, yes.
As I made the point on Twitter 6 months ago, 8 months ago, I'd made the point how 80% of the people being hired are either in healthcare or government. And those are two industries that basically that's sucking the private sector dollar right away. And the common complaint was always the same. Well, what do you have a problem with people going to work? I'm like, because you're not producing a good or service that's actually affecting any of our GDP. You're not actually driving our economy when you're doing this. And yet, the Biden administration continued to grow those sectors in the interest of covering up just how bad the job numbers really were. Because they've been revised down every single month. The whole we had 15 million jobs. I've given you the numbers. It's actually about 5 million in a 4-year span. You're not going to grow yourself out of problems this way. And 5 million government and healthcare jobs.
That's right. Then you can't, there's nothing that's operational that way. If you run a small business, you know that. If you work for a small business, you know that. What am I saying, small business? If you work for any business, you know that. If they need 5 people to do the job and they hire 50, well, that's not going to work. That makes no sense.
How is that going to increase any sort of efficiency? I think it's not like lumberjacks, all right? If I've got 5, but then I have 50, we're going to cut some more trees down. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah. But maybe do it in shifts. I don't know.
But oftentimes, and it's kind of an old school way of looking at things, it's like, how many people does it take to work? In this case, when it comes to like watching street workers, like how many people does it take to work a shovel? 5. 1 to watch it, or 1 to do it, and 4 to watch. And that's government for you.
All you have to do is drive around and look at the DOT projects. You'll see a lot of that.
It's like, oh, that guy has a jackhammer, and then there's 5 other people watching him jackhammer.
I hope this trickles down to like state governments and local governments, because once the money starts drying up from the federal, because that's where it all comes from, then we're likely to see some of that.
Well, we've been fortunate enough in the state of Georgia. We've had surpluses that have been given back to people. The states, because they can't print money, cannot operate. It's out of California. It's going to be insolvent as it is. But states can't operate this way, the way the federal government does. So, yes, I hope this does filter down to even more efficiency throughout even the state government.
It has to. They're going to have to buckle up, tighten their belts, too, because the money's going to dry up. I mean, they're not going to get as much, so you have to. I mean, you're left with no other choice.
California, you better figure it out quick.
Y'all got some work to do out there. All right, that'll do it for us. We're going to turn this thing over to the Glenn Beck program. After Beck, Clay, and Buck, the biggest show in all of conservative media from noon until 3, and then the local afternoon show with the one and only Kimmer. The Kimmer Show with Pete and Flounder from 3 until 6 for Chris, Board Up Goey Virgin River, Los, and my name is Tug. Y'all come back now, you hear?
The legend Neil Bortz is only on Extra 106.3. Hey, it's Pete, and here's what you missed from the Talkmaster.
The business world knows that Donald Trump is not fond of DEI initiatives. And have you noticed? Companies have been abandoning their ridiculous diversity